Alrighty, so seeing that we have a quorum, it is 7 o'clock on Monday, August 19th, 2024, and this is the Boxborough Select Board meeting. So I'd like to call us to order, and we always begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you could join me facing the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Okay, so we also, so next on the agenda is public input. Is there anybody that has anything to say prior to getting to the agenda at hand? Zoomers or in person?
No hands up on Zoom.
All right, I don't see anyone rushing the microphone, so we'll move on to our first action item. So unfortunately, we need to accept the resignation of the Fire Station Building Committee member, Joan Blaustein. So Mike, do you want to speak to that at all?
Yes, so she is in a butter to one of the 4 sites that are under consideration for this project. Joan and I did speak. She filed a disclosure with the town clerk's office. Subsequently, we agreed, as did the board, that we should seek legal counsel. So I did reach out to town council who agreed that, in fact, anyone who's in a butter shouldn't be on the committee, shouldn't be involved in a site selection. Further, the town council also recommended, or strongly recommended, that if the site should be selected that the person is in a butter to, that they also shouldn't be involved in any votes as to the building, the size, the lighting, anything that would impact an abutting property. So with that in mind, Joan is still interested in this project. She'll be following it along, but has decided to step down from the committee.
Okay. Well, that's too bad. And Joan, we apologize that we weren't a little more ahead of it on that. We probably should have thought of that in terms of the abutter. I know that what I personally was thinking was having a representative from, Sheriff's Meadows, Stowe Road, Enclave, Tisbury, all of that was going to be just super useful for passing information back and forth and keeping everyone in the loop. I didn't process that it could be a conflict. So I apologize, Joan, on behalf of all of us. Would anyone like to present a motion?
I'll move to accept the resignation of Joan Blaustein from the Fire Station Building Committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
No, I would just kind of reiterate your point. I thought it was going to be really good to have her there, and it's really unfortunate, and I'm sorry it went that way, but
Yeah.
we appreciate what she volunteered for.
And thank you for getting us through the OPM decision, because that was key also, moving all that forward. So
Exactly.
again, thank you.
Yeah, and person just want to say thanks to her for stepping up and also willing to proceed, even though she's not going to be a vote member of the committee. She will still be an active participant, I'm assuming.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? All right.
What if we oppose?
What if you oppose?
Then it would be
We don't let her out.
it would be a
That
1
She's
instead of
trapped
a
in a
0.
rat. Okay, so next up, we need to choose somebody else.
I do have one hand up. I don't
Oh, you
know
have
if
a hand
wanna
up. I'm
take it
sorry.
now or, Mark?
Mark Barbadero.
Mark, can you hear us?
He's unmuted.
Well, I see the mute down at the bottom there. There's a red line through the
No,
microphone?
That's
Or is that us?
No,
That's
that's-
us.
Okay, well, no, he's
that
still good.
is
You're right.
Mark. Yeah.
Mark has the red line through
Yeah.
his microphone there.
Well, someday we're going to get good at Zoom. We don't know when, but someday.
He's unmuted now.
Now he should be good.
Bottom left. What's the bottom left?
Mark, you should be all good.
Mark? Mark, we can't see you and we can't hear you. I don't know if you're there.
Kirby, do you have any advice? Okay.
So, some people, the people on Zoom can hear Mark, but we can't. So the problem is with us, not with the Zoom.
Yep, how do you know that?
Because I just.
Oh.
I make it up. I'm wicked smart.
Because you're
No,
wicked
I-
smart,
I
okay.
heard Kirby say it's not back there. I did receive a message from Wes a minute ago, said he's signing on in the next few minutes. So he'll
Okay.
be joining us remotely.
Okay, Mark, I definitely want to give you an opportunity to speak. We're going to have to figure it out on our end.
Looks like
Thoughts, you
he's-
guys?
looks like he's talking, because I can see the microphone thing kind of moving up and down.
No, that's not his, that's the.
No, that's
No,
our
over here,
microphone
on the
moving up
right.
and
Right,
down.
that's what the guy moved.
That's
No,
Kirby's
it
laptop.
was
It
even.
was
before
before.
Can we
that.
see if either Adam or maybe Francie, if we can hear them?
Francie, can you try saying something just so we can test the microphone, or Adam? Somebody else say something.
Unmute Adam.
Oh, Adam's
just
right here.
unmuted me.
Oh, hi, Adam.
Might
Oh.
hear
I
feedback.
hear
Never mind.
Francie.
Yeah.
I'm right here. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
I hear
can.
Adam.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Francie?
So it must be Mark's microphone because
Mark, is your
Oh, it isn't.
microphone
My
off?
microphone's working fine.
Up.
I mean,
I can hear Mark just fine.
We
No
can
picture
hear
of
you,
him, no?
Francie, but we can't seem to hear Mark.
Yeah, we did hear my microphone is working fine, and then we didn't hear anything else.
well, I'm
Oh,
talking. Can you hear
There you
me?
are.
Okay.
Now we
There
got
you
you.
are.
We'll read your
Okay.
lips. We'll just read lips.
Public comment.
There we go.
Read my lips.
There we go.
Oh, no, that doesn't sound good.
Okay, I just wanted to let the select board know that, Joan need not resign from this board. She submitted a form to inform the select board that she has a potential conflict, and that the ethics committee, that is all that's required by law. If the select board is willing to accept that she can be fair and unbiased, then she could stay on the board. So I think that you should consider that. And also, according to Michael John's email, we did not get to see town council's interpretation, but he said it was not advisable. I'm not sure what his basis for that argument is, but I think it's advisable that you leave her on the board. So I would recommend that you guys actually hold a vote and decide whether or not Joan can stay on. It's entirely up to you. You relieve her of that potential conflict with your vote. So thanks for listening.
Thanks, Mark.
Mike, can you respond to that? I know you spoke with Joan.
Sure.
I did not personally speak with her, so.
Right. Yeah, I didn't share council's legal opinion because it was over the phone. But I can tell you what legal counsel said. It was that the fact that the Ethics Commission attorney of the day advised Joan to file a Section 19 with the town clerk's office, which she did, is saying that she does have a potential conflict and that it would be up to the discretion of the appointing authority, which is the select board. I advised her, based on that she not vote on site selection, to which she said, if I can't vote on site selection, then I'm going to step down from the committee. So the select board didn't decide for her not to be on the committee. She decided to step down from the committee because she's not going to be able to vote on the site selection. I understand what Mark is saying. It's an advisory, but it was a strong advisory that if there is, if somebody's abutting property is potentially bettered or worsened because of decisions in that it would be inadvisable for the select board to have them involved in those discussions, debates, and votes.
So, Mike, it's not just the voting part, it's also the discussion
Correct.
relating to, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure that, everybody understands that.
Right.
piece
And
too.
so I didn't tell Joan that she cannot,
Yeah.
but I did say, I said before speaking to council that I didn't think it was advisable, And then I confirmed that with council, that they said it's not in the best interest of the town.
Mark, I see you're waving your hand. Go ahead. Your mouth's not moving. So don't mess with me.
His microphone is showing this.
No, he's not talking.
But the hand's still up. Tell him to remove the hand.
You actually have to unmute me if you want me to be heard. So I just wanted to be clear that town council did not say that she could not do it. Town council did not say there was a conflict. Town council said the fact that the attorney of the day said fill out the disclosure form was the attorney of the day informing her that she is now alleviated from any responsibility if the select board decides that she can be fair and unbiased despite the fact that she's within 300 feet. I read Mike's email to her, and the email itself did not sound like Mike was saying it was up to the select board. And that's the reason why I'm bringing it to your attention. Joan said she could be fair and unbiased, and town council said there is a risk of potential, so that's what attorneys do. There's a potential for just about anything, and attorneys will tell you that. I'm not sure how great the risk is. Only Mike knows, because Mike was the only one who talked to council. But Mike, frankly, I'm not quite sure that the risk is as extreme as you might be making it out to be. What I do know is there is no conflict if the select board vote to keep her on the board because they believe she could be fair and unbiased. I don't want to advocate too hard for Joan. I mean, she feels slighted now, so maybe she doesn't want to be on the board anymore. I don't know. I haven't spoken to her. I just wanted to let the select board be fully advised before they just accept somebody's resignation. They should know, at least know what the circumstances are. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yeah, because my understanding was that Joan voluntarily resigned. I mean, I want to be clear, the select board did not ask her to resign. So, I mean, we just gave her the information and she chose to resign, so. All right, duly noted, thanks, Mark. Okay, so we are here to appoint, she did submit a letter of resignation that we have accepted, so we are here to, I believe there are 3 additional, you were updating me right before the meeting. Why don't you update everybody all at once?
Sure. So there are 3 remaining, I guess that's why I'm not plugged in.
Oh, you're not plugged in?
I don't know if we can both be, I was going to share, can I share it through Zoom? Let me see if I can do that. Can somebody enable me to share screen? Okay, well, that's the
He's
end.
town hall. All right, your co-host now.
Okay, great. Okay, so those are the 3 candidates before you who have applied and are still interested and have confirmed as late as today that are still interested
Great.
to fill this one slot on the committee.
All righty, and I believe everybody's here too, so. Okay, does anyone want to start the discussion off?
I would love to start the discussion.
Okay.
So in last week when we met, we selected a number of, everybody was asked to select 2 people. I selected 2 people, and one of whom is here today, Alan Ford. So, the other individual that I'd selected was not able to do it because he also was in a butter, as we discussed. So, so I would like to speak in favor of Alan based on what I know of Alan, and the fact that he's lived in this town since 1978.
You're almost a townie, not quite.
He's almost a townie. He's worked with the fire department because he has a fire pond in his yard. He's worked with Vertex on development projects, if I'm not mistaken. Environmental projects. So he has familiarity with the company, with that company. He was the VP of operations for his company. I believe he knows how to work well with a team of people, and has an understanding of when to ask questions and when to move on if things don't go his way. So I am very much in favor, and I'm ready to make a motion to that, but I won't do it quite yet unless somebody stops me.
All right, well, why don't we just kind of run down the table here? Bob, do you have any thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's hitting me right now is the fact that and I'm going to go back a little bit and then bring it current, is that when Eric dropped off, we were looking for a technical person, and that was last week's vote, and I think Larry Grossman filled that role as a technical person on the board. And I like the way the board was comprised, because we had 5 residents, some being technical and some not being, my word, non-technical, but had communication skills. And I think one of the things Joan brought was the reason I like Joan on the board, on the committee, was because Joan had the communication skills and the presence and I'll say the social interaction with the townspeople, so that she would be be able to let the town people know. As we've said from the beginning, we're trying to be we the select board are trying to be transparent through this whole process. And I think Joan would have and could have been that person to really help the board be open, transparent, get the communications out, whatever social media that is, however it's done. I think she did that. So to me, what I'm hoping to see from the person, if we're able to choose tonight, is a person who has a strong communications background to kind of backfill what Joan brought, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a technical person anymore. Me personally, I'm looking for someone who has a communications background, who can communicate to the townspeople, and who can present the ideas of the board, whether it be at a special meeting, at a special town meeting, or at the annual meeting, or even at this meeting, or even meeting at the library with the townspeople. So I'm really looking for someone who can do a communication, who is a communications expert. Again, my words, but that would be what I'm looking for tonight.
Priya, what are your thoughts?
Well, my biggest thing is yes, that was bringing Joan on was to help with having a voice, representation for that community. So that was one of the biggest reasons we thought so she will be able to be part and parcel of this conversation. But my other piece is also even though originally I wasn't sure, but then I as we went along and deliberated, it kind of made sense, was that we needed a diverse group of people to represent in the fire station building committee. And we have had multiple people that have been part of different committees and boards before that have had applied, and I myself had favored a few of them. I'm not saying no, but I think there's value to bringing some new blood, fresh perspective, and for that reason, I think Alan would be a good fit for this fire station building committee, because he's go ahead.
Actually, I was going to invite all 3 people that are interested, if they wanted to speak, to please do. Go ahead, Alan.
Wes
Sure.
has his hand.
Ellen Ford, Old Harvard Road. Regarding Joan, who I don't know, just because she can't be on the board and she can't vote, does that mean you can't use her kind of like a consultant in the role that you originally wanted her for?
Yeah, we can. We can use her for that.
She just can't vote, and she can't deliberate.
So problem solved? She still can do what you wanted her to do, just can't vote about the things that would personally affect her.
I don't know if she could represent the board.
Well, no, I mean,
She
she can participate, and she could still be the voice of her community if her community so chooses to speak through her. Is really, I think that's what you're saying, Ellen, right? She still has the opportunity to participate, is what you're trying to explain. Yeah.
If she can, fabulous. I just want to make sure.
Well, she can't be a member of the building committee, but like the meetings are public, so anybody can come, and then it's up to the chair to allow them to speak or participate in any way. She can't vote, she can't deliberate, but she can attend.
She could do presentations
Can she do presentations?
on behalf of on behalf of the committee.
Not on behalf of the
I
committee,
don't think she
no.
would, I don't think
No,
the
no,
committee
not
would
on
want her
behalf
to
of the
do that.
committee.
But
Her community, I said
No,
community.
no,
Yeah.
because what I'm trying to get a sense of is I'd like to get someone on the committee who is the spokesperson for the
If I
committee.
may interject,
oh,
to be
if-
honest.
oh.
Sorry.
Yeah, you want to?
Okay,
Go ahead, Wes.
go ahead.
So I'm going to take the contrarian view here. It seems like the rest of the board is going in the Alan Ford camp, but I honestly would go in the John Markowitz camp, and I will give you a few reasons for that. John Markowitz has worked on many boards and committees in town hall and in the town. He's also worked at the school, and so he literally, I've seen him go up to different people in town and say like, oh, how are your kids doing, and all that stuff. And what we have not been able to do is get parents with kids out to vote. We've only been going after the senior citizens and all that stuff, which is easy to get. But John has the connections in town. He's also a professional engineer, and he's also fairly pragmatic. And while I have served with him, and it's not always been pleasant, he's always done what I think that he believes is doing is the best thing for the town, and I have utmost respect for that. And I am not saying that Alan Ford or Mark Barbadoro don't either, but if I had one stone to throw, it would be in John Markowitz's camp. And to be honest, I don't know, like, if I'm being completely honest, I don't know why he wants to do this. He has so many other things going on in his life, but for some reason he finds this to be a priority and continue to give back. He has no kids going here anymore. I don't know why he wants to continue to do this. Like, if I was in his position, I'd just be like, let's move out of town. But he honestly cares about this town, and he's given a lot to it in the past, and he knows a lot of people. And so while we may say, look, you might throw it out on social media, next door, whatever, throwing it out there doesn't get people to vote. And so John Markowitz knows the people that are in the elementary schools, and he has those connections already. And if that's what we're looking for, that would be where I would throw my vote. And so that's, I guess, what I wanted to be as a contrarian.
Okay, sounds good.
Kristen, if I may say something to Bob. Bob, I think you're talking about like if we have public forums and when we can always.
No, I'm not
during
even talking public forums. It's getting people out to vote. And he's actually gotten several things which were not necessarily favorable past a town meeting before. And he's used a lot of the work.
I'm not denying what you're saying, Wes. What I'm saying is like, I know I'm just trying to address the concerns about what Bob brought up in terms of like having Joan and whether Joan can be part of this whole process. So if it is a public forum and if she wants to kind of help us with the public forum, I would assume, Mike, that she can help us when we have public forums.
Yeah, like Eric, who had to step down because of his work commitments, and you know, on his way stepping down, said, "I'm still available to you as a subject matter expert."
Yeah.
You know, not as a member of the committee, not speaking on behalf of the town, but to give his input. I think Joan has kind of indicated the same thing. She's still interested in following this project, and I think that her being able to communicate with members of the community, specifically people who live in that area,
Yep.
either before or after site selection, if it should go that way, that yeah, she should have and would have a voice there.
Voice there. Yep.
That's my thought.
All right. Cindy Markowitz, I see your hand is up.
Hi, yes, thanks for letting me speak. So I know a little bit about Joan's background because I've spoken with her many times, and she certainly brings a planning background and an ability, experience doing site selection through other projects through her work with MAPC. And so I was very impressed with her background. My understanding from the last go around was that when Eric was unable to continue to participate, you wanted to find someone else that matched that skill set because you wanted a variety of expertise on this fire station building committee, which makes a lot of sense. My knowledge of both Mark Barbadoro and John Markowitz are that they have both been chairs of the planning board. I know Mark continues to serve on the zoning board of appeals. They have both presented articles at town meeting, persuasive articles that have, many of which have obtained the necessary quorums to adopt whatever articles they were presenting at the time. So I know both their skill sets actually are very good matches for what you're looking for. Unfortunately, I don't know Mr. Ford's background. Again, the select board has not provided the public any information about the credentials of the applicants, which is very unfortunate. However, I would very much support either John or Mark because they do have many of the qualifications. They've worked well on other committees. They've got vast knowledge of the town. They have vast knowledge of the building process. So I'm just suggesting that you consider the full breadth of the experience that's in front of you and make a wise selection. So thanks for hearing my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark and then Joan.
Yeah, thank you, board. I don't want to toot my own horn, so instead I would rather just talk about Joan. And just be clear, you guys are asking questions as if whether or not Joan can join into a public forum or vote or campaign on behalf of something or anything. And the truth of the matter is, all you have to do is just simply approve whatever she does. If you want her to stay on the board, then all you have to do is approve that. And I think Joan's about to speak. I don't think anyone told Joan that if you affirmed her position on this board after she filled out the disclosure form, there is no ethics conflict. And I think if she knew that, she might have not submitted her resignation in the first place. So if you'd like her to work on this board, or if you would like her to campaign on behalf of some issue related to the fire station, she can do any and all of the above. All you have to do is vote for her to do so. Thank you very much.
Okay. Joan, we've been talking about you all night. Now it's your turn to talk.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Just a couple of things. I thought that by being appointed unanimously by the select board, that pretty much was a vote of confidence. I was encouraged by Cindy, because she has a lot of experience, to just double check with the State Ethics Commission, which I felt was a good, thing to do. And I also, when I filled out the disclosure and talked with the attorney of the day, he seemed to indicate that the appointing board could make a determination that there wasn't a conflict. In talking with Priya this afternoon, I think the town council was suggesting that while that might be true, that further down the road somebody else might come along and raise a challenge, an ethics challenge, and that would be a real setback for the work of the committee. So if that is, and I'm not expert on the law, I did the same training online. If that is indeed true, I wouldn't want to jeopardize, the work of the committee by having the potential for somebody to raise that issue down the road. I definitely intend to stay active in the process, going to meetings whenever it seems there's immediate discussion. But I can't make any promises to how I would represent or communicate or act on behalf of the town. I would now be a private citizen like anybody else, and that might change how I would react or how I would participate.
So Joan, let me ask you, do you want to withdraw your resignation, or you want to stay the path based on what you learned today?
Just a point of order, she would indicate that she wants to withdraw it, and then we would have to reconsider her, because apparently you already accepted her resignation, so you can't unre-accept it unless you
Could you speak up?
Sorry.
What your point of order was? Just talk loud.
So you would either have to revisit the motion and re-vote it, or you would have to reappoint Joan. So those are really the board's only two options procedurally. Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, you are always my operation buddy, keeping me on the straight and narrow. So that was why I was asking Joan what she would like. So before we can get to doing anything, we have to know what she would like us to do.
But Kristen, before that, do we also need to like double check with our
Yeah.
attorney? I just want to make sure that like legal counsel, what they really are, if they can be more clear and.
Legal counsel was very clear with me, and what I expressed to the board and to Joan, I added no emphasis to that. Although that seemed to be what was indicated earlier. I added no emphasis. I just relayed the message of what town council said, that that it wasn't in the best interest of the town to put a project like this, possibly come into question later.
Yeah.
And town council is here to represent the town.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, represent each resident or each applicant. Town council is here to
Fully
represent the town. So
transparent,
they
town
gave
council
advice,
has not been
which I
represented.
shared
Yeah.
with the board and with Joan. So I felt like council was very clear on it.
Clear. So that's my concern, Kristen. I think.
But
like,
there's
I
a
mean,
difference
where
between
we have-
representing us and actually winning.
Hold on, Wes. Hold on, Wes. What? You're next. What's that, Priya?
No, I just, like, having heard town council saying it's not in the best interest of the town, I mean, while I would personally prefer Joan to be on, I just worry about, like, what ifs, right? Even that 1% scenario for a big project like this, we just don't want to jeopardize. So for that reason, I'm just a little more hesitant about, that's just my opinion. Yeah.
But before we spend any more time talking about it, I'd like to know whether Joan even wants us to go down that path or not. So why don't we let her answer that question? Because we don't have to have any of this discussion subject to what she says.
At this point, because we've been round and round on this, I don't want to end up in a situation down the road where this is going to become an issue. I think maybe it's a good learning or teaching moment for everybody to get more up to speed on what the law means further down the road. This will come up again. And at this point, I think I will keep my resignation in place and participate to the best of my ability as a private citizen.
Kristen?
Joan, on behalf of the board, I thank you for your integrity and for putting the town first. So I appreciate that.
Kristen?
Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Joan,
Yeah.
so just so I'm perfectly clear, you would be willing to act as a consultant, for the committee?
I would not call it a consultant. That's really not a term of any kind. I mean, that's a make-up term that we would be using. I would bring all of my knowledge to bear. I would communicate with my immediate neighbors.
Yeah.
I would give you my best thinking. But at this point, I think would be an odd kind of situation.
So we kind of confirmed that you couldn't represent the board, but you could participate with the board in discussions at town meetings. Is that something you would be comfortable doing?
I would have to see how it unfolds. I can't make any
I think this
promises
is
now.
wholly inappropriate asking a
Wes, talk louder.
So
Yes.
I think this is wholly inappropriate asking a citizen to do so. We have actually appointed a council for land use that we are not using, and we're using AP law. And in the past, I can't imagine, I have not seen anyone on this committee or even the town administrator saying, we love KP law for land use things. And so having any other opinion other than that, like every other opinion that I've been a part of where KP law is involved, we've lost as a town based on their advice. And that's in my 8 years here. And so I maybe I'm jaded now, but I would recommend, Joan, if you are actually interested and you want to be a part of this, ask for the other attorneys that we are utilizing and we pay for with the land use to opine on this, because they're the ones who are actually good and do good work for the town.
Okay.
I've never been briefed on a better report than the other attorney.
Okay, Mark White.
You?
Yep, Mark.
Can you hear me?
You might want to get closer to your mic, Mark.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Now we
Better.
can.
Yeah.
Okay, hi, everybody. Well, I went away for a couple of weeks and I come back and all this, I had no idea. All I can say is I agree with the earlier statements that Mark made about Joan having her need for recusal. I actually encountered the same advice at one point in time early on in the planning board. Was told that I couldn't, it was best practice not to act on an application where there was somebody I knew. Again, it's easily addressed by a disclosure. The select board can act on it, and then Joan just has to be very careful how she handles it in the future. And I'd say it would be easy enough for her to on site approvals, then she could recuse herself on that, but she could be part of the larger discussion otherwise. But given that she's not willing to go forward with it, all this said, then I think you're now in the position of who else are you going to have to pick? And I don't know any of the other. I mean, I don't know the third person. I certainly know Mark and John. And without any of that in the packet, how is anybody to know what was taking place tonight? Because I sure didn't. I didn't come here for this. I came here for something else, and I'm surprised. So, Joan, don't feel bad. You had no way to know what was coming at you there, and thank you for volunteering. I think you would have done a great job.
Mark Barbadero.
Thank you. So just wanted to inquire if every time someone in town who's serving the town's interest comes to the select board with a disclosure form that they are required to give to the select board in order to fulfill their function as they are appointed by the select board. Every time someone does that, KMP law will say that there is a risk involved. So what I would like to know from the select board is every time someone fills out a disclosure form, the select board will say they are no longer allowed to serve. That's a situation that I think does not benefit the town. So I just wanted you guys to just contemplate that for a moment, now that you've done this particular action, and whether or not this is going to be the status quo moving forward for the select board. Thank you.
Yeah, we can investigate that further. I mean, right now, the action is to choose somebody to replace Joan. We have asked her if she wants to stay on. She's saying no, thank you. And if that's because of all the actions that have come forward since then, it is, that's where we are. But we can certainly look into your question, Mark, and put it on a future agenda. Larry, your hand is up too?
Grossman.
Larry Grossman?
Okay, I'm unmuted. Yeah, no, it's unfortunate that we're in this situation, but part of the reason that the new committee was formed was to move this project forward, and now we're spending a lot of time talking about a potential pitfall. And I appreciate what Joan has said in the situation that she's been put in, but we do want to make sure that if we have a controversy, we're not held back from progress. So I think, given that, I would recommend John Markowitz. He's a known entity, a known quantity, a known expert, a known thinker in the town based on all the things that he's done over so many, 30 plus years. I worked with him a little while on the last committee. His input was spot on. In fact, he even brought up 2 weeks ago when we were talking about the issue pertaining to Joan as well. She couldn't be involved in site selection, but he brought it even further, and that anything related to the project, if it were to be on Stowe Road, would be a conflict, a potential conflict. So he has good insight, and I would wholeheartedly recommend that we vote tonight and move forward and let's make some progress on this fire station.
Okay, thanks, Larry. And thank you for serving on the committee, too. Okay, Rita. Oh, Mike, sorry. We can pass the mic around, too.
I'm a pretty loud shout.
As am I.
Rita Grossman. Just a quick comment on the COI issues. I recently had to recuse myself from a CPC vote a couple years ago, and I was told by the state ethics attorney that by being on the Community Preservation Committee, I am considered a town employee, and that comes first. So Boxborough Conservation Trust, doesn't matter that I'm president, not important. CPC role came first. So when it came to voting on 95 Sergeant on the CPC issue, I recused myself from all that. And again, I was told by several people in town, oh no, it's fine, you can vote. I said, no, I can't. And you think about it, all it takes is one person deciding to create a ruckus. Mm-hmm. And we all know Joan would be great, and Joan can still participate. But I think what Priya said, it just, anyway, I just wanted to say that the CO, conflict of interest attorney, the state ethics, they always err on the side of ultra caution.
Sure.
And I agree with what she just said. And to me, this is a belt and suspenders project. We don't want to take any unnecessary risks. We want to move it forward.
Absolutely. Nope, I hear you. All right, so I would like, Alan, you would raise your hand. I would like to give the 3 people that are interested in being in the board an opportunity to speak for themselves. So, Alan, you would raise your hand? Yeah. Awesome.
So let me tell you why I'm interested in being on this committee. During my 45 years in the environmental business, one of the things that I was charged with was acting as an interface between our architectural and engineering group and our clients. So the architects would come to me and say, we're going to design a laboratory, or we're going to design a wastewater treatment plant for this particular client, but we need somebody to act as an interface between them and us, a single point of contact. And they would ask me to go and meet with the client, or the clients would come to me, and we would discuss the project, what they need. The architects would show me the space they've allotted for this client's particular needs, and then we would fight about it's not enough. And I would make sure that the client understood that what they were asking for was either beyond their budget, or technically not possible, or why it was a good or a bad idea, and act as that interface. So I'm interested in understanding the relationship between the Fire Station Building Committee, Vertex, and the architect. And I assume we haven't hired an architect yet, but we need to. So you need somebody that's available during the day, which I am. You need somebody that wants to go to the site and see what's going on, maybe take photographs or videos as construction proceeds, report back to the committee or to you folks, and do that for a 3-year period. And I'm willing to do that, and that's what drove me to come here tonight and state that. The other thing that I've done during that time is I've had to make a lot of presentations. I've had to act on behalf of our company, not only in public forum, but legal cases, courtroom, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not Joan. I'm not a professional marketer. I'm not a professional speaker. But in this kind of a forum, or out in the field, or wherever you need, I'm willing to do that and help, even if it means helping Joan do it. If you decide to use her services, I'm willing to do that. So that's my interest. I'm available during the day. I have experience in interfacing with architects, engineers. I know some of the Vertex people. They were one time a client that I worked with, not the architectural division, the environmental division, but I know how to walk that line. So I just wanted to make that an official statement. People don't seem to know who I am, and that makes sense. I've communicated only with you folks and the Fire Station Building Committee. They know who I am.
Okay.
Any questions for me while I'm here?
I have spoken with Al myself, so I had all my questions answered. Thank you, Al.
Yeah, and I've spoken with him as well, and I'm confident in his being able to work with the team and do it in a very collaborative manner.
Thank you. Francie, I see your hand is up. Do you have a question for Alan, or you just, because I wanted to go through the 3 candidates first, but if you have a question for Alan specifically, this is a great time.
No, I had my hand up before you.
Oh, I didn't see it. I apologize.
Okay. I can wait.
Okay. John, you're here. Did you want to say anything?
I'm John Markowitz. I know you know me.
Yep.
I've been active in the town for over 30 years. Okay, I've been involved in lots of activities, and I produce results. I was responsible for the master plan with less. I was responsible for getting the town $1.7 million through the ARPA program so that we could use it as we like without having to go back to the government all the time. I was responsible for developments in town, the Cisco property, the Paddock Estates, which was very important because as expensive as those apartments are, it helped us meet the affordable housing requirements so that we wouldn't have 40Bs. It was very important to the town. 24 years almost on the planning board. I've dealt with people who didn't want projects done. I've negotiated with people. I've sat down with neighbors and talked to them, and I've talked to developers to come to a common ground for how we could make what Boxborough needed, getting it done. I understand how to do that. I produce results. I listen to people. I do my homework. I have a technical background and a business background. I have been involved in following the fire station building project since the SNAG committee, which is 10 years old, okay? I have the very first HKT project plan, okay? I've read all the plans up until the latest plan that might have come out after April. I understand what's going on here. I have been a proponent of a fire station as soon as, when I first got elected to the select board, I met with each of the department heads. I went to the fire station, and quite frankly, I was appalled. I was appalled at the living conditions that we're asking our fire personnel to live in. This is where they live. They may be in there for 48 hours straight. We need to treat them better. We need to fix this soon, okay? Other towns have done that. I've spent time talking to the building committee in Littleton and what they've done. Understand the issues that they've had to deal with when they had an existing building and they said, okay, we're going to retrofit an existing building, which is one of the things that we're considering. How do you do that, okay? When do you, what does the OPM actually bring for you and what can they do, okay? I think we have a temporary, I don't know if we have a permanent architect, but I believe we have one. When we went out for bids, we only got one bidder, okay? So that's where we are, okay? We need to move the project forward. I'm a person that gets things done in this town, okay? Now, I've talked to a number of you over the past weekend, okay? And I've gotten different messages about what you want, okay? I've gotten messages that I would not have your support because of what I've done. I don't understand that, okay? Because what I've done has been try to make Boxborough a better place to live. And that's why, as Wes said, he doesn't understand why I want to do this. The reason I want to do this is I have a passion for this town. I have a passion to make this town a better place. And I have a passion for getting a fire station built. Thank you.
You know, I'm just going to pick up that you and I did not have a chance to speak. I was traveling and then working, but that you got different messages from the various board members. And I actually think that's great because you know what? You know we're not colluding because we're not behind the scenes going, psst, 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 we're going to do this. So I think it's good.
Kristen, let me explain why I said that. Okay? The messages I got were actually a little bit disturbing because I got different messages about what people want in the person that's going to fill this vacancy. That's what was concerning to me. That if the board is not on the same page about the skill set that you want, that's troubling to me. Okay, granted, you should be having this discussion in a public meeting. There should be more information available to the public about what you really want. You've talked about making this transparent, but this has not really been as transparent as it can be. Okay? people don't know the backgrounds of the people who want to participate, okay? People have to come here and say who they are, okay? People would like to read, like Mark White asked for the information to be available so that he could read it when he comes back, when he came back from his holiday, his vacation, okay? That's what, so what really disturbed me is talking to you and finding out that you're looking for different things for this one position. So I would hope that you would clarify what you want, but understand, I have a lot of passion for this town and for this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Barbadero, did you want to have a chance? You can do yes or no.
It's hard to give it a response when I'm muted, but now that I'm not, yes, I'd like to have an opportunity, same as the other two, to talk about my background. So, my background, I was director of facilities in Fitchburg, which came along with the building commissioner job. And we had built several municipal projects there. All of them I would have input in. All of them were building committees that I served on. Prior to that, I was in Oak Bluffs. I essentially ran the planning department because there wasn't one. The staff support for the planning board in Oak Bluffs worked for me. I went to every single meeting of the planning board. I was kind of the de facto planner because there was none in the town. There was also a regional planning board. Most of the projects that happened on Oak Bluffs that were significant would require approval from the regional planning board. I worked with them as well. I have had, in my career, I have worked with just about every OPM and every architect in the state that do large-scale municipal projects. I'm very, very familiar with that type of work. I served on the planning board for 3 years. 2 of the 3 years I was unanimously appointed the chair of the planning board. Those 2 years were probably the most productive years that the planning board had in recent memory. We had many very large development projects coming before us, but that didn't slow me down. I would propose every town meeting essential changes that needed to be made. Each one needed a supermajority vote at town meeting. My presentations got those supermajority votes. When the green solar bylaw, which was necessary for us to become a green community, failed at town meeting, and the planning board was ready to drop the ball, I became the chair. I picked up the ball. I moved it forward. I brought it back to the Sustainability Committee and created a group based with 2 planning board members, myself and Rebecca Werner, and 3 members of the Sustainability Committee, and we worked together to hammer out the details and get it done. Those are the soft skills you need if you want this to pass at town meeting. These are the things I can deliver, but that's not all I can deliver. I also can deliver a building that will be very low maintenance for the future, a building that will be designed with the specific needs of the fire station in mind, as well as maintenance that no one really talks about in Boxborough with respect to the buildings. The existing fire station, for example, is 50 years old. It's halfway through its usable life, and we need to knock it down because we didn't maintain it. And when we repaired it, we were doing substandard jobs year after year repairing it. I prepared a report for the select board, and only Wes was on that board, but I believe Michael Johns has the report. It was several pages of code violations that are in that building, safety violations, health violations that are in the existing fire station. My goal is to do away with the existing fire station because it is substandard. if you're looking for someone who can reach out to a broader group than what you normally get from the people you appoint, I'm that person. So I think that you would be well served by voting for me. And I think you would end up with the fire station that would best serve the town of Boxborough. And you are pretty much guaranteed a fire station, which I think could be uncertain in the future. So I'm here to help. If you don't want me, I completely understand. There's no hard feelings there. But I'm just letting you know what I can do for this community. Thanks.
Thank you. You know, I think we have 3 very, very talented individuals, 2 with a long history with the town who are actually on other boards and commissions right now, 1 person that's new. So no, we don't know Alan as well as we know John and Mark. I don't think anybody anywhere is saying that Mark and John haven't contributed incredibly to the town, and you have. You guys have a very long history. Now I think that, you know, I'm going to ask the board to think about the 3 conversations we just heard.
So if I might, channel my inner Kristen and say, if you guys can't vote for yourself, who would you vote for?
I don't think we have to go there. I mean, if you want to ask the question, go ahead.
Ask them how to spell Boxborough, but we can, that would be my question.
What's his?
He was saying we should ask each candidate, if you couldn't vote for yourself, who would you vote for? But I'm not sure that's useful.
I don't think that's relevant.
I mean, we can ask him how to
Yeah,
spell
we do need to move on.
too.
It's 8
No,
o'clock.
if you want to ask them how to spell Boxborough, like...
Talk
don't-
louder,
like,
talk louder, Wes.
Fine, ask them how to spell Boxborough then.
All right, you guys all better know how to spell Boxborough.
If you want to talk about useless questions.
All right. Anything else? I know that, Francie, you had already, you got skipped by accident. So Francie, and then Barbara, and then I think we're going to end it because everyone else has had a chance to speak already, and that's part of our process. So Francie, and then Barbara.
Okay, thanks. This has been said in a different way, but when I was a manager at Digital Equipment, I learned a very important precept, which I did follow, which was when I was hiring people, I made sure that I hired somebody who was different from myself, who had different ideas, who had different skills. And in that process, I was able to put together a team that was very strong. And that's what I saw other managers doing as well. So I would like to ask you to step aside from your personal opinions, whether someone has voted to agree with you on different issues pertaining to the fire station, although Alan Ford has not been involved in that. I found it stressful in talking with Larry that somehow he was supposed to have voted a certain way that you would approve. I think you want to look for those new ideas, those different ways of thinking, and not just have clones on your committee. So all 3 of these candidates are well qualified. I would suggest that you would go with, in this case, with John Markowitz. I think he would be the person to offer the most to this committee moving forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Barbara.
Hi. Thanks for all the work you're doing on this.
Oh, Barbara, you too. Sorry. Yell, scream at your microphone. It's our issue. It's not you guys.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
There we go.
It's better?
Yes.
Yep.
Thanks for all the work you're doing on this. We want this built, and we want it built as quickly as possible. And we all want a good building, and we want to get this through. And I really, I agree completely with what Francie just said. I think that it will bring more to the committee, to have people who may be thinking a little bit differently, who also know a lot about the issues here. I agree with Wes. I think, John Markowitz knows a lot of people in town. He's won a lot of elections. He's highly respected and very trusted, and is a great communicator. I think all three candidates bring a lot to the table. Of course, we don't know Alan Ford, and we do know John, and we do know Mark, and from what Alan said, I appreciate his skills, but it's my understanding that Larry Grossman brings those exact skills to the committee. So I strongly encourage you to bring somebody in who's going to get this done, bring in more people into the conversation, so that more diverse opinions are included and can help the building committee to both communicate to the town and also help them be very transparent all along with what's going on, because we want it done. Everybody wants it done. Nobody's trying to slow this down.
Right.
The fire fighters deserve to get this as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Hugh, and then we're going to close the discussion and vote. Thanks, Hugh.
Thank you very much. I spent about 40 years working as an owner's rep and a consultant on very complicated buildings. In this case, not fire stations, but theaters. And the biggest problem that I always saw was that the theater people were unable to explain to the boards of trustees, that's you, the select board, the people who are managing. They were unable to explain their needs clearly enough to the architect and to the board. And it took the kind of consultation that I was able to provide to get them to listen to one another and understand what they were attempting to do and how they were going to spend their money and kinds of decisions they need to make. This is similar to what you face with a fire station that is very complicated, that the users know a great deal more, frankly, than even the architects. And as you move along, I think it's important to have on your building committee people who have that capacity to see all sides. And while I have great admiration for Alan, although I've only heard from him tonight, and I have great admiration for Mark because he has significant fire station background in building and planning. I hope he will continue to attend meetings and speak up. That's something he does very well in contributing. But I too think that John will do the kind of work that's necessary for architect, select board, and fire station personnel to communicate clearly with one another as they work on this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. Okay, it's back to the select board now. Does anybody, any further discussion, thoughts, comments, questions, concerns?
Well, I would just say after listening to that, the three individuals speak, what I'm looking for is somebody to work with the excellent committee that we have already. With the town administrator, with the fire department, with Mary Brolin, everybody on the committee. We want people who are not going to talk a lot at those meetings, who actually listen more than talk, and someone who can be a little, I want to go with less passionate, so that because this board, I'm looking at this board as not as the driver, but as the overseer. So I like the idea of somebody who can be calm and objective and work with the team, taking it forward. I mean, I've heard all the nice things that were said by the people raising their hands, but I think that if you look at the behaviors, it would make sense to put Alan in that position, and I'm 100% in favor of that.
Bob? You don't have to say anything. You can
Yeah,
say
okay.
everything's been expressed.
Everything's been expressed.
Priya?
I've said what I need to say.
Wes?
I just need to say that what Dave just said sounds like you're talking about slavery and indentured servitude.
Talk louder.
Wes, we can't hear you.
So fine. Here, let me amp my mic. Hold on, give me 1 second. Not automatically. Here we go. Is this better?
They're much better, yeah.
Okay. So what David just was talking about to me sounded like indentured servitude or slavery. Because we're not looking for somebody to bring their own perspective, we just want them to go along with everything else. And I have a really big problem with that. Because literally these are 7 people that are literally building the fire station building. And to me, it's very frustrating because I see the things that go on behind the scenes. And while you do say you got different answers, it's still gaslighting. And that's probably a trigger term, whatever, I don't really care. But I'll go out and that's fine and whatever, but I'll still be living here, and most of the people on this board or being selected to the fire committee will not be. And it's very frustrating to me to see people get pigeonholed or sidewalled because they're not collaborative. And so I don't go looking for building a building, looking for collaborative people, because Oprah Winfrey had an agent and she goes, I got complimented by how well my agent behaved well, and then I fired him and hired a piranha because I want somebody that's going to advocate for me. And in that aspect, all I see is I can't agree with the majority of the board at this time, and so you will not have my vote for Alan. And as much as I respect Alan, and I may have respected Alan, it seems that the rest of the board is going in that way, and so I am sorry.
Well, okay, thank you for that comment, Wes, and I disagree with you very much. We can move on.
What other word would you use then, other than docile or slavery? I'm asking you.
Yeah,
Oh, Wes.
That's a bridge too
Wes,
far.
No, I'm asking you.
Wes, I'm gonna.
You just described something that's servitude. You're like, we're not looking for somebody to bring their own opinions. We just want someone to go with the flow.
No, that's not what I
No.
heard Dave say. What I heard him say is he wants someone who's going to collaborate, who's going to bring new ideas. And I'm synthesizing a little bit. Going to be open to other things. Is not going to be combative. That's not indentured servitude, and that's not flaccitude. Did you say flaccitude? What did you say? What word did you use?
I called it slavery.
You took it a little too far for
Yeah.
my comfort zone.
That's fine.
And you need,
Okay.
these people need to be able to move on. When the votes are cast by the committee and it doesn't go anybody's way, we need to have a committee that says, okay, next, we go to the next step. So,
I like to think that nobody is an indentured service on any board that you volunteer for. If you feel that way, please let us know.
We have one hand.
okay.
Okay, anybody else?
We got one hand.
Where, Rajan? I didn't.
They just lowered. It was. They just lowered their hand.
Okay. Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we appoint Alan Ford to the committee.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
You got to do roll call.
Oh, roll call vote. We have to do roll call. Oh, because Wes is. All right, roll call vote. Dave?
McKinnon, aye.
Bob?
I'm going to pass right now.
Priya?
Sundaram, aye.
Wes?
Nay.
Hilberg, aye. Alan, welcome to the Fire Station Building Committee, and I wish you all the best. It's a nice group, I promise.
Welcome, Alan.
Okay. All right. And we do hope that everybody who hasn't been chosen to the committee will continue to participate. Okay. Let's see, next. We need to vote to authorize a grant application to the Massachusetts Community Compact Best Practice Program. And Alec, would you like to bring us up to speed? And you can introduce yourself to everybody and bring yourself up to speed.
Thank you, everybody.
Bring us up to speed.
Alec Wade, town planner here for the town of Boxborough. Typically, I don't come before you when I'm applying for grants. We come before you when we're ready to accept them. But the Community Compact Best Practice Program, which is a state grant, is quite unique. There are so many different options of things that we can apply for, a diverse range of topics. But ultimately, the select board has to authorize the application. Today, I'm coming before you with a very concrete and practical application that I feel we must submit. The town needs to apply for its next ADA self-evaluation and transition plan, which is a 10-year forward-looking plan in which you endeavor to become more accessible both in your programming as well as your web presence, and even more to the point, in your physical infrastructure and buildings. And so, for example, when someone walks in here to Town Hall, how do they enter the building? Is it accessible to all users regardless of ability level? And when someone visited our website, is it something that a person of English as their second language can easily access and maneuver? It's a very broad plan. It's conducted by a wide range of different people. I've seen regional planning commissions. I've seen architecture firms most commonly. You even get some programmatic groups that come with more language and DEI frames to use in the process, but regardless, you get the same product, and it's an important product because it not only endeavors for us to become a more accessible community, but it also protects your liability as a municipality. And so I'm asking you tonight to authorize a grant application. We don't know the number as of yet. We're working to source some number figures, but it is not a matching grant program at this time. I'm not requesting any additional funding. Should I request funding, I would have to come back before you. Tonight, I'm simply seeking authorization to apply to the Community Compact Best Practice Program.
Like, I know you mentioned you don't know the numbers. I was going to ask that, but do you have a ballpark?
I've generally seen these done between $35,000 and $50,000. This grant program has really a sweet spot of if you don't go over $50,000, you generally don't have to come in with matching funding, and an application like this tends to score strongly.
Good.
Any other questions?
I'm in favor.
Okay. I move to authorize the Land Use and Permitting Director to file for the Massachusetts Community Compact Best Practice Program grant application.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? From the Zoomers, from the audience? All right, seeing none. Is Wes still on, or did he step off?
He stepped on.
He said he was only able to stay for this one agenda
So
item.
we don't need to roll call vote this one?
Correct.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? That is unanimous. Get your
Thank you,
paperwork
everybody.
going, buddy. All right. Next action, proposed land donation at 50 Taylor Farm Road. The applicant Glenn Kaufman and town planner Alec Wade will be presenting or giving us more information. Who's going first? Glenn, you either have to grab the microphone.
Sure.
Or so you can sit or stand. You're super laid back.
It's okay with you, I just wanted to hand out some
Sure.
paperwork.
Yep.
We don't bite.
No, we do not bite.
Thank you.
We bark a lot.
What I'm handing out and
Thank you.
what's in blue is the parcel that's going to be discussed.
Okay. So while Glenn is doing that, I just want to put it out there that I have worked for Glenn before. I sold his personal home. I have no financial interest in this project. I've never represented his new construction. So we do have a past business relationship of, 4 years ago?
Yes.
But I have no anything with this one.
Good evening, I'm Glenn Kaufman, real estate developer for Longwood Homes. Longwood was a developer a whole bunch of years ago who put together the subdivision proposal for Taylor Farm Road here in town. Just a little background, because I believe everybody but West that in the past was not on the board of the select board when I'd come before them before, so I'd just like to give you a little background about what transpired. As part of the decision in the subdivision rules and regulations, the select board had a provision that 8.29 acres of land, which is that parcel highlighted in blue before you, be classified as open space, and upon completion of the project, donated to the town. In May of '22, I was on the town warrant to transfer the road from myself to the town, and I was also on the town warrant for the donation of the land. The article for the donation, the town warrant was passed and accepted, and so subsequently the road had been turned over to the town. The article on the warrant for donation of the land was actually pulled before the annual town meeting. I was told by the town administrator at that point in time, weren't really sure what the value of that open parcel of land to the town was, and why would the town want to select it. In the fall of that same year, in 2022, in October, I went in front of the board again, trying to donate the town to the land. It was discussed back and forth, and again, it was pointed out where the minutes don't really reflect this, but it was pointed out in the audio that the land itself was not contiguous to any other parcels that the town owned. And because of that, it would never be joined. It would always be this isolated piece of land out there. And so the town didn't perceive it as having any real value. The select board felt its value was if a house could be built on it, build a house, and the tax revenue is the real value to the town. So 5-0, the board voted not to accept the donation of the land. It was at that point in time I spent a lot of man hours, time, energy, and money coming up with an idea to develop that property and put one, possibly two houses on that land. Way in the back, up against the stone wall, was an area that was outside of the buffer zone, the wetlands buffer zone for the town conservation. And in order to get there, I would have to traverse part of the buffer zone up in between the 75 and 100-foot buffer zone, but all the structure in the house and the septic system and well and whatnot would be all outside of their buffer zone. My neighbor, Lee Jones, sitting back here, approached me and said, hey, instead of building in the back, if I do a land swap with you, how about, building up next to the road? And what the land swap would do would allow me to put a house that was up closer to the road, and a land swap would allow me to, again, get the structure out of the buffer zone, which is really critical, I think, to all parties involved. So that proved to be I thought a good solution. Brings the house closer to the road. It's not way back in the woods. I don't have to cut down so many trees, on and on and on. Finished developing the plan, presented it 2 weeks ago to the planning board, and the planning board asked on several occasions, hey, have I gone back to the select board and asked them if they would accept the land for donation? And at that point in time, the answer was no, I haven't gone back to the select board. I was turned down twice before, so why am I going back again is really my thought process. Since I've been turned down twice several years ago, nothing has changed. It's still an isolated parcel of land. It'll never be connected to anything. So I'm not here tonight to ask the select board to accept the land as a donation, but I'm here to ask the select board to deny the land as a donation to the town and sort of uphold what the previous board has voted on twice in the past, not to select the land. So that's really why I'm here tonight, is to ask you not to vote in favor of selecting the land. And if you vote not to accept the land as a donation, that you'd reach out to the planning board and articulate to them that, hey, the highest and best use of this land, since it's an isolated parcel, is for the tax revenue that a single-family home would generate. Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions or?
That was a 3-2 vote, is that what you had said?
No,
5-0.
5-0.
5-0?
Yes.
Okay. So I will say that my immediate reaction when I saw this was that if two previous select boards have already declined to accept the property, I wasn't inclined to overturn that because I don't want to set that perception that if you don't like something, you can just wait a couple years till new people are in and get a new opinion. So, but then Alec did give me a call and say there is some new information that, Alec, do you want to speak to that? So that's why it's on the agenda tonight, is just because it did make sense to bring it forward. And my understanding is the planning board did say go back and talk to the select board. Cindy, give me 1 second. You're next. And unless you want to defer to Cindy first, Alec.
My role here is to answer questions of the select board. If you want me to opine on it, I'm happy to do so. But one note I do have for the board.
Oh, you got to use the microphone.
Yeah, you got to use the mic.
Thank you, everybody. I do just want to clarify, my role here is to support the select board and answer any questions you might have going through your decision-making process. One, offhand opinion I have, I've looked through several minutes now where this was discussed at select board meetings, and it's unfortunate that since 2021, neither a member of the planning board, conservation commission, or town planner has been there for this dialogue. I think it could have saved all parties a good amount of workload and financial interest that's been invested into it. Had there been one of those entities present to help kind of facilitate the conversation, but alas, that didn't happen. I would also just want to note for everybody that in discussions with the chairperson leading into this item, we did agree that it would be important to be open and transparent. So we did hand-deliver notices, taped to mailboxes of all of the abutters that were listed in the planning board process. Typically, this evening would not provide notice of any form to the neighbors, but we agreed that it would be important to continue to facilitate and allow an open dialogue for those purposes. So to the extent that the select board has any questions for me, you're welcome to request those. I'm happy to answer anything and speak to even 2 Mondays ago as proceeding with the planning board.
All right, Mike has a question, and then
I have one question for you, Alec. And when this agenda was going together, I was told that this was for the board to consider accepting this land donation. Is that was what was communicated to me? Is that still true?
So I would leave that up to Glenn. This is ultimately Glenn's item for whether he wants to offer for acceptance, donation, or otherwise. It was my understanding from a voicemail I heard that the opportunity to potentially accept the land would be there, but I leave that to Glenn. I cannot offer donation of land for him.
Right, I understand that. That's how this got on the agenda. Is it was told to me that it was as it's written on the agenda. Let's see.
Glenn, is
Proposed
that
land
offer
donation.
still on the table?
The offer is on the table, but as I said, I'm encouraging the select board to vote no and uphold the prior two decisions from the previous select board not to accept the land as a gift. So it's on the table as a gift. I'm asking the board not to accept it as a gift.
Can I ask one other question of you?
Sure.
And that is, because I wasn't here, I'm just trying to get, what had happened. I did, before coming here, I watched some of the meetings of various different events. And this was one of the meetings that I watched because it was shortly before I came to the select board meeting. You mentioned 2 times. Was the first time when it's supposed to be on the annual town meeting?
Annual town meeting in May.
Okay, so
And
that one was pulled for whatever reason.
For whatever-
So it actually came in front of the select board once.
Once.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
the
thank
select board pulled it from the annual town meeting the first time, and then I went in front of the select board and voted no.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
okay, we have a whole bunch of hands up here. So I think. Go ahead. Sorry, Brian.
No, if I can.
Yeah,
I
of
just
course.
wanted to, I don't know, maybe I'll change my mind, but in my thought process, I know we always are looking for more open space and more land use for our folks in town. So I'm inclined more towards that unless somebody will change my mind. But that's just my initial right off the bat, that's my thought process. We are looking for more open space, more land for people to be able to utilize. So I know there are so many people.
Yeah, I want to go to Cindy Markowitz first. She had her hand up first.
And then we'll go here.
And what we'll do is we'll bounce between Zoom and in person, and we'll go back and forth.
Yep.
I would like some context, Cindy, from the planning board's perspective. Again, all four of us are new. We weren't here in 2022, so bring us up to speed on what's happening.
Right. Thanks, Kristen. I do want to note that Mark White is the planning board chair.
Do you want to
currently,
advocate to Mark?
However, Mark was away and was not appointed to hear this presentation when the planning board met 2 weeks ago. So I haven't discussed with Mark, but I would like to speak this because I was part of the hearing. The planning board continued the hearing to
Cindy,
a future
can you
meeting.
get closer to your mic?
So I just wanted to make it clear, and perhaps I'll let Mark speak first, but I would like to have an opportunity to speak, but I just wanted to, I can give a lot of historical context because I've done quite a bit of research, and I am concerned the way the applicant has currently presented what happened. So I would like to speak to some of this history, but I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'd like Mark White, if he'd like to speak to this first, because he is the current chair, but he was not, did not hear this hearing at last meeting, so I'll put myself on hold, and if you're willing to let Mark speak first, I will come back. Thanks.
Sure. Okay, Mark White.
Thanks, Cindy, for that. I mean,
Get closer to your mic.
I was not at the meeting. I was away, and so I can't really speak to what happened in the meeting, although I did watch it. But I'm not going to try and recapture it because I'm not going to be able to act on it. So I guess I'm going to, I have what to say about this, but not as chairman of the planning board, probably more as a planning board member in absentia or as a resident. So I'm going to let Cindy sum up what happened at the planning board meeting, because she was there, and then I'll wait my turn.
Okay, so you're batting the ball back to Cindy, because I think
I'm gonna
that's what
bat
this
it back
board
to
really
Cindy,
needs to
but-
understand.
But I don't want to lose my place in line because you put my hand down.
Okay, I promise everybody who has their hand up is going to get to speak, I promise.
Put it
So
back in.
what I would like this board to be able to understand is why this is back here. Why, my understanding is the planning board recommended that Mr. Kaufman come back and speak to the select board. So I think this board is trying to wrap their arms around all this because it happened really fast. So we have not had a chance to get truly brought up to speed. So Cindy, if you could fill that void, that would be amazing.
Yes, I'm happy to, and I, to be honest, I think the planning board was caught a little bit by surprise when this came to us as well. So I went back and researched the history of this situation. So I'm going to try and summarize it if I can for you. In 2016, as Glenn noted, as Mr. Kaufman noted, the planning board at that time approved a subdivision for what was 11 homes and a parcel of land to be deemed as open space, donated to the town. The plan was recorded with a note on the plan to say this parcel would be deemed open space to the town. That was recorded with the Middlesex Registry of Deeds. Fast forward to let's see, got a little timeline here. 2021, Mr. Kaufman offered the donation to the select board, and in March of 2022, the Conservation Commission voted unanimously to accept the gift of land. So the Conservation Commission had voted to accept this in March of 2022. In the meantime, the planning board continued to monitor the performance bond items that were still outstanding, and Mr. Kaufman continued to meet his obligations associated with the ongoing maintenance that was required for that development. In March of 2022, the select board discussed the acceptance of land. In late March of 2022, the select board actually recommended the article to accept the donation of the land, as I believe it was Article 18 at the time on the 2022 warrant. That article was pulled. I was not able to find any notes as to why that article never made it to the warrant, other than some notes in the meeting minutes that town administrator administrator, explained it was a remnant parcel. The board could choose it if they so wished, and a couple other comments about it. And again, the select board anticipated recommending that on the warrant. As I mentioned, it never made it to the warrant of reasons unknown. Then in October of 2022, as Mr. Kaufman stated, he requested again that the select board consider accepting the donation. There are meeting minutes, and there was also a letter from the interim town manager at the time, providing some explanation to the select board about perhaps why this remnant parcel, his word remnant parcel, might not be in the public interest. However, as noted earlier, both the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board anticipated that this parcel would be accepted by the town. The reasons that the interim town administrator gave were fairly specious and I think not well framed. I think the select board did not thoroughly assess the value of the parcel and the agreements that were already made with the planning board at that time and the subdivision that was recorded to make this conservation land. When Mr. Kaufman came to the planning board this couple of weeks ago, he is requesting 2 waivers, or a waiver from the planning board rules and regulations. The planning board rules and regulations require limit in a dead-end street to only 10 homes. When the subdivision was granted, Mr. Kaufman was given a waiver to allow for an 11th home, with the understanding that the preservation of wetlands and such, would be maintained. So he was given a waiver. He came in front of us a couple of weeks ago, asking us to grant another waiver for this 12th home and suggested that there was a way to build this other building lot, which he described to you this evening. However, I think the value of the conservation and the drainage, once you've looked at the property, and we heard from several homeowners that in the evening, clearly there were concerns about creating another building lot at that site. The planning board discussed that Mr. Kaufman perhaps could go back to the select board and request perhaps that the select board consider accepting the parcel as it's initially was presented. So I'm a little surprised that Mr. Kaufman came tonight to ask you not to accept the parcel. Planning board has continued our hearings until next meeting, which I believe is next Monday night. But I just wanted to make sure that you understood some of the background because, again, the planning board and the Conservation Commission had voted to accept this parcel, and it was unclear as to why the select board voted not to back in 2022. Now that I've seen the correspondence, I think they were somewhat misinformed by that former interim town administrator on this picture. So I hope that gives a little more context as to where the project stands and the background on it to date.
Okay, so in fairness, I asked you to give us like the planning board background. Do you have any personal statements to make now that you kind of filled us in on all of that?
Well, I don't know that it's appropriate for me to comment personally since the planning board is hearings. I think
totally fine. I was just asking, making sure you got a chance to say.
I understand. The planning board has not held a vote. We wanted to give Mr. Kaufman some time to approach the select board to ask again whether this select board would consider accepting the land as was originally presented, which is the full 8.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we're going to bounce to somebody
without an additional
here.
building lot.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Cindy. I didn't mean to talk over you. I thought you were done. Sorry. What was that? Okay.
I'm still confused why we're discussing this when they haven't finished their public hearing.
Alec, can you answer that? That's best answered by Alec.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Cindy referenced, the planning board was explicitly interested in the select board's opinion in this case. The planning board is actively being asked to amend their previous decision. So in order to affect the single-family home that Glenn is now proposing, the planning board must do the same thing that you've in light described tonight. They have to go back in time and they have to reverse in some form, not in its entirety, but at least at some form and level. They have to reverse previous decisions. They have to undo the decision-making that was already done. And they're attempting, I believe, to kind of better understand the opinion of the select board before they go ahead and make a decision, which is totally to their discretion as to whether or not they wish to amend a previous decision.
Okay.
Good. I got
So,
that.
Yep.
so if I could,
Yeah.
then, so the idea here is the planning board would like to know what we think before they continue on.
Yes.
To see what,
That's right.
to see
That's
if it's
right.
gonna be,
Right.
how we would vote if it came.
To us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why don't we hear from the various parties and
Thank
then
you,
we...
I just-
No, definitely. Just you're clarifying what we're doing. All right, Rita, your hand was up next, then we'll go back to the Zoom. Mark Barbadero would be next, then... I,
Well, I could speak first.
okay. Everybody is going to get a chance. We're just going to bounce back and forth. Everybody's going to get a chance. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Lee Jones. I've been in Boxborough almost 30 years.
Yeah, sorry, short. You can take it out if it's easier.
not for us, it's for the people out there. That's what it's for.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
No, what do I do?
You can take the mic out of the stand.
Or lift it up, yeah.
Lift
There you
it
go.
up.
There you go.
How about this?
Yeah,
Hey,
Now we can hear you on the speakers. Yeah.
great, okay. So I did submit a letter for the planning board, for the select board tonight, earlier this afternoon. I'm sorry, a misunderstanding. I thought maybe he'd read it, but I was under the impression it would be given to everybody. And I guess it wasn't, so maybe I'll start off by just reading my letter.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and I'll add a little bit to it, briefly discuss the problem. Again, I've been here almost 30 years. In fact, some of you I've recognized from earlier real estate inquiries many years ago. This is my second home in Boxborough, which I purchased from Mr. Kaufman. Before purchasing, I went to the town planner. It was 3 town planners ago, and they guaranteed me that the lot I was interested would have conservation property behind, because it was a very long lot with a short backyard. And I wanted to make sure that I had that wooded view in between of the deer and the animals. And I was told, oh yeah, that's part of the plan. And Mr. Kaufman also related that to me. I went ahead, purchased, and then, always being under this understanding, I heard that the town apparently hadn't yet accepted the land because they haven't accepted the road, and that perhaps that would happen simultaneously. Now, an important issue for, I think, most of the abutters of the 50 Taylor Farm Road property is keeping the area between Taylor Farm Road and Flag Hill Road free of any construction or tree removal, preferably as some sort of a conservation property accepted by gift by the town. Mr. Kaufman's current proposal, actually, if approved, would essentially guarantee this either by deed or accepted donation. And I'll go into that in a moment. The Select Board has twice previously decided not to accept 50 Taylor Farm Road. I think I have the wrong dates, 2022, 2023, but it was about 6 months apart. They had turned it down as a gift from the owner, Glenn Kaufman, and there was even a discussion in the second meeting, in the minutes, of additional development on the property. The town apparently didn't see
a use of it because it wasn't contiguous with other areas, and that perhaps something could be built on the 8.25 acres and would provide further tax revenue. The problem was that I realized shortly, soon after that meeting, when Mr. Kaufman started surveying and soil testing, he was going to have to build a road right behind my property, 15 feet from my backyard, my short backyard, a road to access this lot way up in the back, which everybody would see down at Flag Hill Road, and they'd see the road and the trees would be taken down, and several people on the right-hand side going up the even-numbered side on Taylor Farm Road would also in their backyards see the house and see this long road. I was very upset by this because I had been at the town a couple of years before, and I see that they changed their mind. Now, it wasn't the first time. Something like that happened in my old neighborhood over in Davidson Road. Poor fellow that moved in wasn't able to give his property to the town as it was of ill use to them, and they had changed their mind again. Now, I don't want to get into that. It's old facts, but the town has different opinions and different boards and different people, you know, make different decisions, and sometimes they want more conservation and sometimes they want more revenue. Well, my property value would go way down with that road leading up to the house way in the back. So I started looking where Mr. Kaufman was going to build the road, and it was right along my property line. And I talked to him about it, and we came up with a possible solution, and that is that if he would give me a little more property in the back and take a little property of me on my side, because my lot was very wide and very short, then he could probably he thought he could probably build a house right on Taylor Farm Road. He wouldn't have to have that long 800 to 1,000-foot road up there, and that house way in the back that everybody would see in Pine Hill, Taylor Farm, and Flag Hill Road.
Okay.
Now, yeah, if
So I do, Mr. Jones, have to ask you to go a little faster
gonna
because
go
we have
really
a lot of
quickly
people. Okay, good.
Okay.
We have a lot of people that want to speak.
I wouldn't be opposed to the town taking all the property and make it conservation land. I'd go along with that. It's not the problem. But I didn't think they'd do that. If they turned them down twice, and in my previous experience with the town, I didn't feel confident. So I engaged with Mr. Kaufman, and then looking at the house, etc., I just noted a few things. One is it would make the Taylor Farm Road development more symmetric. You'd have house across from house. There would not be a drainage problem down at the bottom of Taylor Farm Road. That was a problem that's been there because of the long road. That's because the water goes down the road. This property would actually have a driveway which would go down. The drainage would not go in that direction. No way it would go down to the bottom. And another thing, it would provide a better access for animals that are now coming into part of what's my property and going on very close to the house diagonally across the street, which would be opposite the 50 Taylor Farm Road property. Those animals would cross, and I think at a better location, a little bit lower.
Okay.
So I guess that's it. I think also that in addition, I think all property values would be enhanced on Taylor Farm Road. Now, I don't know, there may be objections on Flag Hill Road, there are other barriers to go through to get things approved, et cetera. Again, if you turn everything down and decide on conservation property, then, you know, I'm not going to object to that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's bob back to Zoom.
Yep.
Oh, well, I was gonna go back and forth. You'll be next, Rita. All right, Mark Barbadero, you're up.
So I was on the planning board when the road acceptance came before the board, and at that time, we were informed by the town administrator, Carter, that the select board would not follow through with the subdivision decision and the conscom decision, in which an agreement was struck that that land would be granted to the town of Boxborough as part of the subdivision decision. So at that time, we were in a position where the road needed to be accepted because it was complete, less this one item, and Glenn had no way of fulfilling that item at that time. So that seemed kind of unfair, so we decided to recommend the acceptance of the road for town meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But what we did not anticipate was that the other conditions on the road, on the subdivision decision, would be later waived in exchange for a building lot. There was a number of houses that were built on the street, and that was all agreed in advance by the developer and the planning board and the conscom. And out of the blue, this kind of hit us all. We were kind of surprised that we were not going to uphold the decision. That was not I don't think any of the board members on the planning board at the time were actually on the board when we created the subdivision decision, but it has been the practice that we honor the decisions of prior boards without good cause. So the planning board wanted you to come or wanted Glenn to come to you, and he could offer you to accept the land. And I'm asking you to honor the decision of the conscom and the planning board, and put the road not the road acceptance, the parcel acceptance on the warrant, so that the town can have a chance to vote on it, because ultimately it's town meeting that would be accepting it, I believe. So that's my hope here. Also, I don't see great financial benefit to the town by building a dwelling. If they build a dwelling and it has, let's say 3 bedrooms in it, and they put the nuclear family in it, then we are at a net loss for tax revenue because of the education cost. So I don't see a windfall for the town. I do see a big piece of the aquifer and a big piece of wetlands that is part of what makes Boxborough Boxborough. And I would ask and hope that the prior decision of the select board, which I think was driven largely by Carter, and the board just, for better or for worse, most of the time it's for better, they just accept what their staff tell them and go with the recommendations of their staff. But that select board did not ask the conscom or the planning board if this was a good idea. They just went ahead and did it on their own. So, I mean, to me, you can prove Wes Folks wrong in his last comments about how the board makes their decisions, and uphold and honor the different opinions of the people that they appointed to the conscom and the elected planning board that were elected by the town to represent them. So I'm asking you to honor their decisions. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to bounce back over here. Rita, you were next.
Kristen,
Yeah?
could I just respond to some of what Mark said and then let Rita go?
Let Rita speak. I think.
Yeah, I just called on Rita.
Okay.
Yeah, so. Rita, you can abdicate if you want.
Rita Gibbs Grossman, Depot Road, but I'm here also as the president of the Boxborough Conservation Trust. First met Mr. Kaufman, I think in 2014. Yeah, 10 years ago. It's a while ago. This was a 22-acre parcel approximately that was spectacular habitat, but the land was not in chapter, and it was going to get developed, and we met, and it was like, okay, very reputable developer, and there's going to be 10 happy customers on Taylor Farm Road, and 8.29 acres was going to be taken by the town. I unfortunately just assumed this was a no-brainer and lost track of it because I was out of town most of 19, 20, 21, 22, family issues. So I was quite shocked to learn what was going on. And this land, this 8.29 acres, it has a challenging topography. It's got wetlands, and it is valuable as conservation land, and not just whether a Homo sapien can walk on it or not. That's not the point. The big issue right now with conservation, we have plenty of trails in town, but it's connectivity and wildlife. When Colonial Ridge got developed behind our house, and we're on Depot Road, the deer said, I cannot believe we've been spending all this time in the woods when we can be on the Grossman property eating all their hostas. So another house there is going to displace more wildlife and take it off. I mean, 8 acres, we're not talking 2 acres of land here, we're talking 8 acres. And I know that there'll be a good 6 or whatever left over, but I think that the select board, I'm really sorry, Glenn, because you must be really pissed, because this should have been all taken care of when it first was approved by the Conservation Commission. But I do think the select board should honor the decision that was made by the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board. We should not be here tonight discussing this. This should have been taken care of when it first came up. The town has accepted other parcels like this. It should have been done, and I'm shocked that it hasn't been done. And by the way, this has been researched in the state of Massachusetts. Residential homes that abut conservation land have higher property values.
Thank you. All right, Varish?
Hello.
Talk really loudly into your microphone. It's our tech issue, so.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, my name is Balaji Javelu. Varish Balaji is my son's name. Somehow it got defaulted Zoom, so I couldn't change it. Get a chance to
I didn't know that, okay.
Okay, I'm one of the abutters. I live in 90 Taylor Farm Road. I'm the neighbor of Lee. So one of the things, the plan, if there is a plan to build a house, it'll be right behind my unit. That's one of the reasons why I'm here, to show my concern. About 5 years ago, when we were contemplating buying a property, we were looking at 3 properties, and one of the reasons we decided to choose this one was because of the conservation land behind our house. We had a woods in the back. As per the town's commitment, that's what we heard. As what Cindy Markowitz mentioned and Dee also mentioned, the plan was not to build anything behind. And now we hear that that plan is changing, probably in the interest of monetary benefit. That leaves a bad taste, because I've been living in Boxborough for 19 years. Having lived here for 19 years, this seems like an odd proposition that I never thought would happen. Also, we've been here for almost 4 years now, or actually more than 4 years. We are used to seeing all the wildlife behind our house. It's kind of disheartening to see that all those trees will be cut out and the property be developed there. It seems difficult to kind of assume that this is how it's going to be in the future. But that's just my point. My main point would be is, if Glenn wanted to donate this property, the town should accept it. That's my opinion.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm pretty loud, so I'm just going to stand a little away from the microphone.
If you could just introduce yourself and
Yeah.
then, yeah,
Yeah,
thank
just,
you.
just introduce yourself and where you live.
Yeah, my name is Shanusha. I'm from 65 Taylor Farm Road. The reason I'm here today because the topic was for the donation of the 50 Taylor Farm Road, which is exactly opposite to my home. I'm just going to read out some notes here. The reason we moved to Boxborough 4 years ago, in the heart of COVID, is because we wanted close to the nature and bought this home specifically because this area was supposed to be underdeveloped and donated to the town for conservation. This was confirmed over and over before we did sign purchase and lease that this land opposite to our home is going to go for conservation, and it was affirmed that this is going to go for conservation before we purchased it. It will be disservice to us and abutters if we are right now going back to the decision and not taking the consideration what the board had earlier considered. Going to the point of wildlife. There is a lot of wildlife on that piece of land, family of deers, salamanders, hawks, etc., and etc., which passes through my property exactly across to the piece of land. That's their path of migration daily, morning and evening. I have several pictures. My kids love to watch the deers, love to be seated in the outside, watch the trees that are exactly opposite, see the hawks, different birds and animals that comes along. Per the town planning rules, the subdivision can have only a maximum of 10 homes. That was the decision that was made when this parcel was getting developed. And the subdivision was given an exception to add an extra home. So instead of 10 homes, we became 11 homes at the time of development. Now, if the land is not accepted by town, then the landowner will be motivated to build a home, which will need a lot of exceptions and waivers because we have been following this and been on several meetings on this planning committee, conservation meetings, etc., etc. This has been going for the last 2 years. We've been trying to attend all the meetings so that the town can accept this piece of land as committed to us as a conservation. It is important to understand that this piece of land in its current form is not buildable. We are going to encourage into leachable fields, into our conservation areas, and the drainage that is sitting next to the parcel right now. I want you to put that into consideration, that there is drainage or drain water system right next to it. I urge the town to accept this donation from Glenn. I'm little surprised by the way this was framed on the board as a donation to the town, but I hear Mr. Glenn Kaufman coming here to not accept this as a donation, but come here to build the lot here, which is very surprising. I'm a little agitated with that decision of like what was being told over here. I do not see any financial benefit to the town coming from this development. It's just one home. What is the town going to get benefit? If it is, I would like to understand that from the select board, what benefit it is going to bring to the town by building just one home and disrupting all the other community that was built on this piece of land 4 years ago. If the decision is going to take this land back as a donation, as a gift from Mr. Glenn, it will be a big win for our community to enjoy this protected land of conservation and have our future generation cherish this decision and the gift by Mr. Glenn. I would really like to appeal to take this land as a gift. Thank you.
Thank you. Glenn, do you want to respond?
Yes.
Or answer questions, and then we'll bounce back over. Dennis, you're next.
Just to respond to a couple of the items that were brought up. Mark Barbadaro gave a little background into what was going on there. At the time of the subdivision approval, John Markowitz was on the planning board. And at the time, the select board voted not to accept the land. John Markowitz was also on the select board, and he was one of the 5 who voted not to select the land, to accept the land as a donation. And West was also on the select board, and he also voted not to accept the land as a donation. Just for a little further clarification, gentleman mentioned that trees were going to be cut down behind his house and everything way back here. The lot's actually up in this corner here, right next to Taylor Farm Road, so there would be no cutting of any trees or anything back in this area behind any of these houses. It would actually be adjacent to Lee's home. As far as drainage, there are several references to drainage issues and stuff like that. The house here, as Lee had mentioned, is actually set down from the road, so it would not be draining any water onto Taylor Farm Road. It would continue to do what it naturally does now and shed water further down the road, further down the land, down into the stream and those kinds of things. So there would be no impact to the street, Taylor Farm Road, whatsoever for any drainage. As I stated earlier, I'm here to offer the select board an opportunity to take the land as a donation. But I spent the last couple of years, as I said, my time, energy, and money based on the direction of the previous select board. And it's disheartening to me. Rita used the word pissed. I don't get pissed, but it's disheartening to me to go in a direction and then sort of have the rug pulled out from underneath you by another select board reversing some prior select board's decision. So just wanted to mention that as well. Thank you.
Okay. Dennis, are you speaking as a private citizen or conscom?
Dennis?
Yeah, I'm trying to get unmuted here. Sorry. Yeah, I'm here as a private citizen tonight, Dennis Street, 205 Old Harvard Road. But I'm also here as the former chair of the Conservation Commission back in 2021 and 2022 when this was a topic of conversation. Anyway, I think Cindy did a very good job summarizing the history, so I appreciate her comments as well as Mark Barbadoro's comments. I agree with them both. It's inexplicable to me as to why the select board, along with the interim town administrator at the time, did not vote to accept this as a donation. So I guess to keep my comments short, because there's been a lot of good backup information already provided to fill in the blanks. If the action for the select board tonight is to vote to accept the donation of the full parcel, the 8.29 acres, I would recommend that you do so. That's what was intended going back over 2 years ago. And I think to see that through tonight would essentially accomplish what was, I think, always intended for that property, what the planning board envisioned, what the Conservation Commission envisioned, what I think even the select board may have thought was perhaps the right thing to do at some point. They were putting it on the warrant, and it's just inexplicable as to why it went off the rails. I don't know if anyone will understand that, although there may be 2 people that were already mentioned that might. But anyway, that's history. We can't change that, but we can certainly change the future, and voting to accept this parcel tonight, I think, would be a step in the right direction to, correct what I think I would characterize as a mistake. And I think that's about all I can offer, unless you have any other questions on deep history on the CONSCOM, because I do have some notes from 2+ years ago, but you probably don't need to hear that. It's plenty of other voices to be heard tonight.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
I have a question. Okay, so maybe, all right, I'll hold my question until after Mark. Anybody I said we bounce back and forth. Anybody in real life want to talk? All right? IRL. I'm a Nana, but I know what IRL means.
As opposed to fake life?
Well, I mean, versus our Zoomers. All right, Mark White, and then I have questions.
Thanks. I've been waiting patiently because I was number 3 in line at the beginning, but then you put me to the end, so. I'll
Yeah, I
sum
can't
up.
hear you.
Oh, see, it wasn't me saying it, they said it. Talk loud.
So,
If you were funny, be funny again. You smiled.
no, oh, not funny. I'm not sure exactly what went wrong here. I think I agree with everything that everybody said before me, so I'm not going to belabor it. Obligations were made in the application and not followed through. Abutters, and nobody's really talked about the abutters other than peripherally, no, the town has. Abutters purchased their properties or purchased or went through a process, an application process, with assurances at the end of it that the property would not be further developed. When you buy a piece of property, you look at the land around you, you understand whether it's developable or not. If it says it's not going to be developed, then you may very well purchase your property with that understanding. That's really important. I think that's, to me, that's one of the most important aspects of this. I mean, how things went wrong in the town, who decided not to do it, when, why, it doesn't really matter. So why this wasn't followed through is not clear, but what is clear is what was in the permitting and what the abutters expected to happen. So I agree with Dennis, the board should follow through on its earlier obligation, I would say, to accept this property. And I'd even go a little bit further, because I feel bad for the applicant, for the developer, because he's had to pay taxes on this for a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 or more. I wish there was a way we could make him whole, other than say, oh, sorry, wish we had done better. Maybe he can apply for an abatement, would be nice. But I think tonight you guys just need to vote this. I mean, you could have done it pretty quickly if you had seen it coming. But just vote this, send it back to the planning board. The planning board is probably, and I'm not going to vote on this on the planning board. Again, I'm talking as a citizen now. And then the planning board should just basically send this right back to the select board for a signature. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Dan, I'm going to call on you next, but Mark just kind of led into my question, and that's process. So this is what I'm trying to parse. There is a hearing at the planning board right now to reopen the subdivision to add a lot. Right? That's what the hearing is? There's an open hearing. So Alec, I need your help on this too. So the hearing has not been closed yet, so the planning board has not made a decision yet, but during the hearing, the applicant was said, hey, go back and talk to the select board again. So then, as we're learning about this, I understand the select board made a decision based on their expert, who at the time was the interim town administrator. And to me, that's through no fault of their own. Of course, we depend on our experts. We don't question our experts unless we have reason to question, and at that time, that board didn't question it. And as Glenn said, both Wes and John Markowitz is a very seasoned planning board person, chaired for years, voted not to accept the land. So here we are, flash forward. Glenn's been trying to develop an additional lot. Lee got wind of it and said, hey, let's make this less invasive to our neighbors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and now you're here. So my conundrum is that the select board does not typically step on the planning board's toes. It's not our purview. So I don't understand, from a process perspective, if we were to say, yes, please, we'll take all that land, what happens to the open planning board hearing? Do they still, so that's my first question. And my next question is, okay, we have all this information, but bouncing back to, I'm not sure whether it was Mark or Dennis said, that ordinarily it's after the planning board makes a decision, it comes to the select board.
Can I offer you?
Yeah,
some
I'm really,
process
really
that'd be interesting?
struggling with the process.
So I don't believe that the planning board is looking for the select board to make this decision tonight. They're looking to, see, because this needs to go back to the town meeting to be accepted. So that's what, it sounds like the intention was back to March of 2022 to take it to the May 2022 town meeting, which never happened. I think, and I'm assuming here, that the planning board is looking to see, would the select board put it on a future warrant to take back to town meeting for the voters to accept? And that would be able to help the planning board to close out their hearing and know what to do. If they know that this board was looking to put it back to the warrant and let the voters decide, then the planning board would be able to wrap up their hearing. If, on the other hand, the select board was to say, no, we don't want to accept this land, or we don't want to put this on the warrant for the voters to decide, then it would give the planning board some other information. I think, and I haven't spoken to anyone from the planning board, but I would think that's probably the direction they're looking for from the select board. And maybe, Alec, do you have any insight into that?
So no matter what we say, it's going back to the planning board.
Yes, the
Okay,
planning
okay,
board.
still have to
fine,
close
but
the hearing.
clarity
The
now, I'm
planning
getting
board-
it now, okay.
The planning board is legally obligated to reopen their public hearing this upcoming Monday. What typically happens, and happened in this case as well, is when an application comes in, we circulate for commentary and review. Oftentimes, the select board is not expected to provide any commentary.
Right, I
because
was
it
gonna say,
would
I've
be-
never, ever.
It would be out of the ordinary.
Right.
If at this time you submitted back to the planning board that you were in favor or opposed, the planning board could weigh their options. If, let's get a little hypothetical here, if you were in the mood to consider putting this back on the warrant for acceptance, then the board could at that time, if they choose, deny the application. The applicant, perhaps in good faith, would come forward and request to withdraw without prejudice, which would give the application time to go forward to town meeting. If at the time the application failed at town meeting, then, because it was withdrawn without prejudice, the applicant could come back, no questions asked. In the case of a denial, that would not be the option. If, however, you said that you were not willing to put this back on a town meeting warrant, well, then the planning board has their answer. Now, the planning board is not obligated to act based on your decision. They have the sole right to determine whether or not to amend their decision, but at least the applicant at this time has gone through the process, made the request to you. And I think Glenn came in really good faith tonight to help fulfill that part of the ask. In fact, if you go back and watch the recording, I was asking the planning board, practically pleading with them, please kick this out to another meeting so that we have time to either appropriately draft a decision, give Glenn time to talk to you as the select board. I think this has been a good facilitating dialogue, regardless of what decision you make tonight, and the planning board can then move forward in better faith based on the results of tonight.
Okay, thank you so much, because I've got all my notes, and I've got my notes to myself saying this is not our area of expertise. We don't typically make decisions about any of this. It is the planning board's jurisdiction. So that, what I wrote in my notes is, it appears to me I believe the select board will accept whatever the planning board recommends. I can't believe this board would not put land on the warrant. Whatever decision is made,
This board.
this board
Right, no, I-
would
but
be
there's
very
a
happy
previous board
to
that
accept
did.
conservation land.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I guess,
I'm guessing.
and if I could, Kristen, for 1 second. So you asked a question, and Alec, I just wanted you to confirm, and maybe Michael, the select board can't accept a donation?
We can decline it.
But I thought that's what we're doing. I thought we were deciding tonight to accept the donation.
Well, if we said, yes, we are open to accepting it, what we then have to do is put it on the warrant. We're actually agreeing to put it on the warrant.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Right,
Okay.
so that's the disconnect for all of us. What we're doing is saying, we'll put it
Okay.
on the warrant,
I thought-
and we'll support the
Okay.
town accepting the land
I thought-
based
okay.
on the planning board's decision.
Okay, I thought it was our decision.
Right?
to-
No,
if-
yeah.
See,
okay,
we were
yeah.
all lost in the translation.
Okay, I
All
get
right.
it, I get it.
I think we're back in person. Anybody here have anything?
Oh, okay, I get it.
We're back in person, so yeah, it can be your turn, then it's Dan's turn.
You gotta go to the
My-
Go to the mic.
Always the mic.
I would like to ask Alex if there was also the conservation meeting that is still continuing or not on this decision to accept this parcel as a conservation land?
So I'm happy to address that question. Yes, I failed to note this earlier, but in tandem with the planning board application, a conservation commission application was also submitted. The CONSCOM would also need to approve any development in this case, or the development that was proposed at that time. I will note that the materials before the conservation commission at this time, from my understanding, are quite outdated compared to what the current proposal is. That's because they were submitted many months ago. Between the original submission date and now, Glenn, myself, his engineer, have had many back and forth discussions as to determine what would be legally allowable and what would be appropriate, although ultimately appropriate is based on the board's, not myself's determination. What was settled on is a single-family home lot may be more possible from an application standpoint, but would ultimately still require many modifications of a planning board decision and then ultimately Conservation Commission approval. What was just noted is that, yes, a Conservation Commission hearing remains open. It has been kicked down the road several times. I have recommended that at many junctures as well because the facts simply have not been determined. And so depending on your decision here tonight, the Conservation Commission may also act on that basis.
Glenn, when you started, you said I would encourage the select board to decline the offer. But what I'm actually hearing is that we're being asked whether we would put it in the warrant or not. So help me understand your initial request to decline the gift.
I'm coming before the board tonight to offer the land as a donation, as I have 2 other times in the past. But based on a directive I got from the previous select board, or maybe 2 select boards ago at this point in time, I'm asking you not to accept my gift.
Got it.
So don't put it on the town warrant.
Don't put it on the town
Based
warrant.
upon prior select board.
Based upon prior select board
Based on
decisions.
prior select board and based on their decisions, I went and sort of, as Mark White was saying, you know, not only the real estate tax, but I also paid for my legal counsel to develop the deeds and the documentation to turn that over to the town, and that all needs to be done again, and why should I pay for that? I mean, it's just a nightmare.
Okay, let me ask you a couple more questions. If we said, no, we're not going to consider bringing your gift to the town, or I'm trying to ask the question tactfully. I know, I'm trying to ask the question tactfully. So are you basically saying that you would gift the town later if you're allowed a house lot, or you will never gift the land to the town if we don't? I'm not sure where you're going.
Yeah, I mean, if the decision was amended and I was able to develop that lot up by the road, if the town later wanted or to accept that remaining 7 acres, I would give it to the town then, or if the town said, you know, we want you to put a deed restriction in the deed so that it can't be further developed, I would do that, whatever the town wanted. So I kind of look upon it as, from my side of the fence, it's a win for me. I get to develop the lot, and it could be a win for the town because then they could always take the rest of the land if they so choose.
So this is the way I'm seeing it. And to some degree, my former ZBA had. Alex, you want to add something first?
So I do just want to note one item here. In Glenn's application before the planning board, he has asked for one amendment to the previous decision in particular. That would allow it to be a buildable lot. What was just discussed, carving out the buildable lot and then donating the remainder of land, would require further amendment of the decision. Now, that could be done at a planning board meeting, but I note that such an act is further away from the original decision, so much so that we have to add another waiver and amendment to the planning board's decision.
So the original proposal never had one buildable lot on it?
The original proposal was that this land would remain in open space to be donated to the town.
All of it.
And on the deed and the plan set, it notes, as recorded with the registry, that it is not to be built and that it cannot be further subdivided.
So, it notes specifically that it's supposed to be open space conservation land, and then an additional note to follow that no further lots may be divided for sale or conveyance. So in this case, it would require the planning board, if they so chose, to go back and remove 2 notes from the original deed and plan set.
So actually, yeah, like the original was for 10 and they made an.
The original was for
addition to the
11.
Right?
The original
And
was for
then
11.
Now this will be a second amendment.
This would be
So-
12, which
Yeah.
would go another step further. Correct.
But the original was for 11, not 10.
That's correct. The original
Okay.
approval and what was built was 11 homes.
So I thought where did I hear like?
Oh,
this-
Cindy,
it was-
Cindy had said that
it
the,
was- yeah.
that a waiver was requested from a planning board, that typically a cul-de-sac is allowed 10 homes by
Homes,
right,
right.
but they were given a waiver for 11.
11.
So that was,
So
it
there
was
was a
always
waiver.
11. It was
Yeah.
always 11. So,
Right.
okay. All right. I did promise Dan and Mark a chance to speak. Dan? You just have to say your whole name, just so we know who you are.
Hi, my name is Dan Goda. I live on 97 Taylor Farm Road, across the street from this lot. A lot of things I wanted to say. Many of the residents who live around.
Dan,
my
hold on one sec. You gotta, I'm so sorry. Lean really close to your mic or be really loud.
Okay, how about now?
No.
No. Okay. Okay, I'm actually a bit loud and also close to the microphone. Let me know now. Can you hear me?
Not really.
Not well. I'm so sorry.
Well, I'm as close as I can be to the computer.
Okay.
So.
All right, go ahead.
How about now? Can you hear me?
That's
Yep,
better.
that's better. That's actually better, yes. Which
Okay.
is weird. Your camera's on and we can hear you better. That's weird. Maybe because we're reading lips. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my name is Dan Gada. I live across the street from this lot. A lot of things I wanted to say. My neighbors and other folks in this meeting's already said it. So, like my neighbors, when I bought the property, I was told that this is going to be handed over to the town and it will remain forever as a conservation land. And for all the things people said, we now have an idea, the path this lot took, and we are here, and we were discussing, or debating to allow a house to be built. So my question is, I have a couple of questions to the board here. You were saying that this subject will go back to the planning board, and whatever the planning board would recommend, and you would have no objection to accept it. But the planning board, the original planning board, agreed that this 8.2 acres, once this whole development is done, will be handed over to the town, and the town will accept as a donation or a gift. Planning board has already made that call. So why are we again going back to planning board? If we ever go back to planning board, that's because the planning board is opening for a change. We shouldn't go that way. Planning board has already made a recommendation in their first proposal in the original document that this will be donated. And also the planning board made one exception, let's not forget that, to allow for 11 buildable lots. Of course, it is approved, it's part of the plan, and they built 11 units. And let's say Glenn, went to the board, and board said, we don't want this lot, so we won't accept it. And Glenn invested more money in preparing the plan and everything, but he didn't have an approval for a buildable lot. If he made those investments, that was a wrong call, and I don't think the town or residents is responsible for it, because this was always been a non-buildable lot. He needed to make sure that get a permission, convert this into a buildable lot, and then invest. If any investment is made on this, we are not accountable, right? This because this is today stands as a non-buildable lot.
So, okay, so just to go back to, you did ask a question about the planning board, and I think I heard you say, why is the planning board even reconsidering? Did you ask that question?
Yes.
Alec, do you want to address that?
Yes, so I, in the role of town planner, do not have the rights or authority to refuse Glenn access to the board. If Glenn wishes to make an amendment request to the board, he can do so. In particular, when Glenn's team approached the town, I did at that time say that this is not legal as it stands today. We went back and forth with dueling opinions, even did involve legal counsel briefly for a moment there, but ultimately landed on that the only way this could be possible is by an amendment. Again, I don't have the right to tell any individual homeowner that you can't ask and make application. They made application. The one note I made at that time is that if they did so, it would be by major modification, which is an important part because that requires public hearing. Had we tagged this as a minor modification, the planning board could do this in your own jurisdiction, but nothing about this is a minor modification.
Okay, so the short answer is that Glenn had the right to come back and ask for a hearing. So that's why the planning board is looking at this again, because Glenn, as a property owner, had the right to come back and ask. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
So,
all right.
yeah, as a citizen, right, I mean, they have right to ask. But what I disagree with is that, like, they've spent money or made investment or spent time because whatever the select board had kind of said, we're not going to take donation. We are not responsible for any time or money investment made because this has always remained legally as a non-buildable lot. So I think the first step is to get the approval and make it a buildable lot and then make those additional investments.
You are correct. You know, when a developer develops any land, it's at their sole risk and discretion, and they make a business decision on which direction they think it will go. So you are right. The town is not responsible for Glenn's investment in this new endeavor. Mike, he's too far away. He can't kick me.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on both what Dan said and what Mark White said earlier, because I think they both raise really valid points. And you know, the prior board made a decision based on, I don't think bad intentions from anyone, but I think that the interim who was advising that board did not have the history of the decisions that the Conservation Commission or that the Planning Board had made. So I don't think they had all the information in front of them to make the correct decision.
Sure.
It seems to me that the correct decision probably would have been for that to go to town meeting and for the townspeople to vote to accept that land into conservation as it was intended. However, in addition to serving the residents who live here, we also have an obligation to the people who conduct business in here. And I think that by making a decision without all the information that the board needed to have in front of it, I think that, you know, it has caused Glenn to pay a year and a half to maybe up to 2 years of additional property tax on that 8.29 acres. That, to me, seems, and we're not here to negotiate this, but that seems to me that the damages that are caused to him by a decision that was made without all the information by the town.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me the corrective action ought to be to look into, to see if there's a way to correct that. I do agree with what Dan said. Any improvements or engineering or design or other investment that someone make, that's at your own peril, at your own risk. But the town probably should have accepted this land in May of 2022. And that's something that maybe after this goes through its process here tonight, and then back to finish the process with the planning board, the conservation, commission, maybe that's something the town can look into. Is there a way that we make this right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Dan, your hand is still up. Is that residual, or do you have a further question?
No. Whoever made the comment, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm in line with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. I think we're at the point where we all can make decisions. So what we're being asked is, would we accept the land? Or no, I'm sorry. What we're being asked is, would we be willing to put the land on town meeting?
On the warrant article.
On the warrant article, on the warrant article town meeting.
Yes.
So, all right, this is just my thought. I actually think we should send it back to the yes, whatever the planning board ultimately decides, we would put it on the warrant.
It looks like the planning board wants us to make the decision, right? Like, we will
That
put
we-
it in the
oh, that we
warrant.
are
because
gonna
That's
put-
all
that
it
way-
is would we put it in the warrant or
warrant,
not?
yeah. I
Right.
think that-
But is it 6 acres or is it 8 acres? That's when I am super uncomfortable. I don't have the knowledge. I wasn't elected to make land use decisions, they were. So I feel like the planning board has to decide, yes, this is a valid request, or no, it is not a valid request, with the understanding that whatever they ultimately decide, whatever is left over, we'll put on the warrant.
Is that, like, Mike, do you have any input?
Because we're not being asked to decline or approve. We don't have that right to
Right.
say
Well,
yes or no to the lots.
I think that, I think the question before you is, would you be willing, if there was a land donation
Yeah.
for this piece of land,
Yeah.
to put it on the warrant and let the voters decide? I think that's the question.
Yes.
And Mark White may have some additional information, as well as Cindy. They both had their hands up.
And Alex stood up too. Alex,
Alex,
do you want to
yeah,
jump
what-
in, or do you want to
yeah.
let these guys jump in?
You-
This became way more complicated than it probably should have.
I'm just going to
it
jump
doesn't
in
have-
here because I'm going to ask you as the select board to stick your neck out and make the decision here first. Notably because if you kick it back to the planning board and say you make a decision, and the planning board decides we're not going to hear this amendment, then Glenn will come back to you assumedly and say, okay, please put this on the warrant. But then if by chance it fails on the warrant, then by law of repetitive petition, Glenn can't come back and ask again.
So, Alex, are you?
Now
wait.
it's clear as mud. I am not.
So, Alex, are you asking us?
I'm asking you to indicate to the planning board whether you would accept a donation of land.
Whether it's 6 or 8 acres.
And whether, and then it's up to you if you want to opine on what size you want it to be, but that's up to you. What I want you to indicate to the planning board tonight is whether you would accept the land, yes or no.
That's it.
Yep.
That's
If you
it.
have,
Boy, I
if you
wish we had
have an
started with
opinion,
this.
So no qualification for the amount of land, just will we accept the land?
that's the minimum. If you're prepared to go further based on what you discussed tonight, and you have an opinion on what size land you think should be accepted, then by all means, go the step further and deliver that message to the planning board. And deliver that message to Glenn
Do you
clearly
also
so
want
he
to
can
hear
make
from
certain
Mark? Yeah,
decisions
that's-
based
Yeah,
on
we
it.
want to go, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely do want to hear
Thanks,
from Mark and
all right,
Cindy.
thanks, Alex.
Okay, Mark,
I don't know
be
why
wicked
this gets so
loud. Be wicked loud.
complicated. It didn't have to be this complicated.
I know. I didn't.
It's simple. It's simple. Okay. There was a deal was made. It's already been written. We have it. It's recorded. It's a document. It's done. The only thing that hasn't happened is the select board hasn't put it on the warrant for 2 years or two times. So if you say that, oh, okay, we would put that on the warrant if it came before us again, then it's real easy. It's no changes to what was already written. You don't have to argue over how big it is, 6 acres or 8 acres. It's whatever the document in its current form says. It's not subject to the planning board would not change that. The planning board would either ask the applicant to not move forward with his application, and then it would go to the town, and then everything would go like was originally envisioned. That's all. The only hitch here was that select board did not act on it the way it was supposed to. All you guys have to say is, if it comes to us, we will. And then that's all the planning board needs to know going in to the hearing next week.
Thank you.
That's all we
Boy,
do.
I wish we had understood that right in the beginning. Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I will, where is it?
It wasn't written.
It's not,
We
okay.
didn't know where it was going to go, so we couldn't prepare a motion.
So how do we say, can we,
How about something like,
so sorry.
The sense of the
I thought he
meeting
was
vote
his
would be
chair.
fine.
I've been kicking Dave all night. Okay.
We will move to accept to put this in the warrant as it has been approved in the past? How, is that what?
how about
What it'll be?
something like, we move to accept this piece of land? And then, but if that's the way you move and second and vote, that doesn't mean you have then accepted the land. That means that you'll then go through the process. Let the planning board close out its hearing, and then you'll put it on the warrant. So I think you could just vote. We vote to accept this land.
Okay, I'm not comfortable with that. I think the planning board is the judiciary in this. The planning board decides whether or not
They,
to open it or not.
Kristen, what he's saying is it's already.
But the
is
applicant
there
has
in-
an open hearing asking them to reopen it, and they're already discussing it. He's in an active hearing right now, and that's why I'm not comfortable hijacking that hearing.
But can we say we move to put this land donation
Cindy and Mark have it.
on the
Maybe they'll have the motion.
on the annual meeting warrant? Can we say
Well,
that?
that's what I wanted to say is, yes, whatever comes to us, we'll put on the warrant. Whatever land is donated, we will put on the warrant. But I'm not comfortable specifying, I'm not comfortable saying yes or no. That's the planning board's jurisdiction.
Cindy may have a thought for
Cindy,
you.
help me out, Cindy.
Cindy?
Mark, you're next. You're next.
yeah.
Cindy was already up after Mark White, and Cindy put her hand down. Okay.
No,
Who's talking?
happy to speak.
Somebody talk.
Trying to help you guys clarify, the planning board is not going to ask you again
sorry.
about the donation of the land. The planning board is being asked to modify the subdivision decision to allow a lot that was previously deemed unbuildable and was previously designated to be donated to the town. The planning board is being asked to revise that and make that a buildable lot and waive the requirements limitation in our subdivision rules that limits the number of homes on a dead-end street and provide another waiver. That is what the planning board is being confronted with. I can tell you from the planning board first hearing that there was much discussion about why didn't the select board do what was expected at that time, which was, as I mentioned, is written in the deed, the recorded plan with the Middlesex Registry that the land would be donated to the town as the parcel 1 currently shown 8.3 acres. That was the expectation. So the board at our hearing a couple weeks ago pondered why the select board didn't do that, and Mr. Kaufman was encouraged by several members to represent this issue to the select board to see if the select board would accept a gift of the land. But the planning board is not going to make another recommendation. I shouldn't say not, but we are being asked to whether or not we will agree to modify the subdivision for those 2 items that I mentioned, making a buildable lot and waiving the limit on number of homes to be built on a dead end. But the tenor of the meeting was that perhaps Mr. Kaufman could go back and discuss the gift of the land with this select board. And I think we all got better educated on now what the issues were at that time. So if you have more questions about that, again, I have more history, but I think
Sure.
I tried to clarify what the planning board is going to do.
Yeah, no, I don't feel like I need more history in part because I feel like that's the planning board's jurisdiction, not the select board. That's all I'm very concerned about is that we make a decision tonight that then sets it in stone the direction of another property owner's hearing is going when it's not our decision to make. I don't disagree. You guys signed purchase and sales. Dan spoke to. I don't disagree. You all believed that was going to be conservation land. Please understand. I see all sides of it. I'm just being really careful on what's the select board's purview when there's already an open hearing and it hasn't been accepted or denied. Go ahead, Rita. Help me out, Rita. Mark wants to help me out too.
I think the only issue is it's the planning board's job to review whatever Mr. Kaufman has submitted for variance, approval, disapproval, or whatever. That's their job. What you're being asked to do only, as Alec clarified and as Michael clarified, is would you put a question on the warrant about, as Mark said, it's already written. It was already supposed to have been accepted 2 or 3 years ago, and it got pulled off the warrant. You're just being asked, will you put this question on town meeting floor to accept land?
Yes.
And if whatever happens, you know, there might not be any land or whatever. I don't know. You're just asking if you should put this question on town floor.
Okay.
You're not overruling the planning
Okay.
board. You're not telling him what he can build or not build. You're not doing any of that. You're just asking if this land comes up for donation, can it be on town meeting floor?
That was very clear. Thank you. Mark, do you have anything to clarify that? Because I did say I'd recognize you next.
I
Or did
appreciate
she nail
that.
it?
Yes,
She
I do.
nailed it? She nailed it.
Can I speak or not?
Yeah, good.
Okay. So the planning board made a decision. The decision was that the land would be accepted by the town as a gift from the developer. That was the planning board's decision. If you don't want to step on the planning board's decision, then you should follow the decision. The hearing that is taking place now was not called by this planning board to modify that or to change that. That was called by the developer. Anyone can call for a hearing, fill out the form, and the planning board will hear it. The planning board has come to you through the developer saying, we want the developer, actually I shouldn't say we, the planning board wants the developer to come back and offer the land to you again, because that's what they want you to determine. So that you're not stepping on anyone's authority. The warrant is the select board's authority. It's not the planning board's. We discovered that when the select board decided to take it off the warrant, okay? So you're not stepping on anybody's toes by making a sense of the board meeting, or, you know, we agree that put on a acceptance of the land on a future warrant. That's actually written in the planning board's decision. It was signed by the developer, it was recorded by the developer, and that is what the planning board intended. So you're not stepping. Thanks for listening.
Okay, are we doing a sense of the meeting, or are we just going to do a motion? What? Because Bob, you were the one that you've got the floor, so to speak.
Yes.
Dave looks like he has a motion.
Oh, Dave wrote something
so
else.
I mean,
Go ahead.
it sounds to me like we're moving to accept the land and add it to the town meeting. Article.
We're not accepting the land. We are agreeing to put it
And
on.
isn't that
No.
what we're
No,
doing?
all
We
we're
can't
doing,
get
go back to what Rita said and what Mike said. All we are doing is saying, yes, we will put the land, whatever it is, on the warrant.
Yes.
That's it. I agree
That's
with
it.
that. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
Yeah, we can't accept it. We don't have that authority.
No.
All we can do is
Just
put
the
it on
word
the warrant.
accepted was the only thing wrong there. That was the only thing wrong.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
That we will agree to,
Mike, give us the wording.
we will agree
So-
to
Give
put
us the
this.
wording.
Write this for us.
So you could
we
finish
will-
your sentence.
Yeah, we
You
will
got it.
Agree to put it on the.
We will agree to put the
land.
donation of the land on the annual town warrant.
Is that accurate?
Is there a second?
Second.
No?
Well,
Who's making the motion?
he said the annual.
How about on the next town meeting warrant that you can?
So,
Okay.
okay, yeah, so that's, I just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
Okay.
I will withdraw my second.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let's go again.
I moved to put the donation of the land on the next town meeting warrant.
Second.
Any further discussion?
No.
Well, we do have one hand raised. Do you have anything new to say?
Only one question I have. If you say you cannot accepting the donation or not, how did the previous planning board reject it on their own without going to the town meeting?
No, I'm saying we can't accept the land. Like, you can't say to the select board, hey, here's a piece of land, you can have it. Only the town meeting can accept it. All the select board can do is put it out there. The previous select board chose not to bring it to town meeting, so that town meeting could decide. So that they didn't reject it, they just didn't move it forward.
So all we're gonna do is put it on the town meeting, so the voters, residents can accept, or no, the residents have to accept the land as part of town meeting.
Even if it was done 2 years ago.
Right.
That's how it would have been done. It would have been put in the warrant article, and the residents will vote, and they will be the ones to accept.
Okay.
It will not be.
So what I'm hearing is it's just been delayed, but there's no decision has been done yet.
Right. But it's being delayed, it's not being taken off as it was in the past.
Got it. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Lee, did you have one more? Then we're gonna vote after Lee talks.
Can you define the land? What do you precisely mean by the land? Thank you.
can't define the land, right?
What has been in the planning board approved thing, right?
What's in the approved registry of deeds, right? Didn't Cindy say it was filed with the registry of deeds?
Mark, give us the wording,
Yeah, he did say it.
please.
Well, right, because
Per the agreement,
Per the agreement.
Per the agreement,
per the documents that the whole decision is already there. You guys are overcomplicating it again.
I know.
Just say
Okay, all right.
that
All right.
I mean, it's like a sense of the meeting vote, okay?
Mark, why don't you do us a favor? Just give us the motion, and we
Well,
will say
I'm not
as
a lawyer,
presented
okay?
by Mark.
I think you have.
Just say
the
it's a
motion
sense of the
and
meeting
already
that
have the
the-
motion,
this,
we have a
that-
seconded
that
motion.
this select
But he
board would
wants to know.
accept any direction, any donation of land as per the agreement dated, whatever the dates are. Alex got all that stuff. That's all. It's already written.
Madam
That
Chairperson, you already
you
have
would be
adequate
inclined to
Okay.
put that on the warrant.
Okay. Both Alec and Mike said that we have an adequate motion before us on the
And a-
table,
and a
and it's
second.
been seconded,
Close
so we're
enough.
gonna go with it. So we're gonna go with it as, okay.
Okay.
All right, we don't have to do a roll call vote because we're all here. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Yes, whatever comes before us, will go to town meeting, whatever that may be.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, that was hard. That was a lot. Okay,
One more to go.
one more to go.
Oh, no.
Okay, discussion and action, public health emergency letter regarding the closure of Neshoba Valley Medical Center. Mike, could you please
Sure.
just bring the board up to speed on that?
Sure. So
Wait, hey, Alec. Outside.
Do you guys mind going just outside the door? The microphones pick everything up.
Sorry, Mike. go ahead.
So I'm sure that most people have heard what's going on with Stewart Healthcare, the closing a number of the hospitals. There's one that impacts us here in Boxborough, and that's the Neshoba Valley Medical Center. That's one of the hospitals where people could be going to from Boxborough, that along with Emerson. There are a number of things that complicate this possible closure to residents of Boxborough. Even if Emerson was the hospital that somebody in an ambulance coming from Boxborough Fire was going to go to, and let's say they weren't first going to go to Neshoba Valley, by that other hospital closing, it's going to impact Emerson and other hospitals in the area. So the hospitals that are already running at capacity or near capacity many times will be running at an overcapacity when one of the regional hospitals close. So which means that our ambulances with EMTs are going to be making longer run times, longer stays. Even if it's to Emerson, they're going to be staying there longer because there's going to be more people waiting to get in. It also means that our patients, our residents, are going to be waiting longer, sometimes on a hospital bed out in the hallway while waiting to be cared for. And so I think some of the immediate and critical needs are going to be not going to be addressed as soon as they should be, or as soon as people are used to at this point. Additionally, there are operational impacts. If an ambulance with its crew of EMTs is out longer on a run, that means less time that they are in. Right now, we're running one crew and one ambulance, so it's that much longer before the ambulance gets back to town. When we get to the point of having a backup ambulance, and these lead times are longer and we can staff it, it's going to be staffed with overtime or call-in people, so it's going to be an additional cost, additional wear and tear on the our equipment. So that's what this letter to the governor is about. So we're joining many other communities that are facing the same issue. There are 15 communities that are facing this. critical situation. Last year, there were 110,000 people that are served by this hospital, and I believe it was last year alone that 16,000 people were seen in the emergency room of this hospital. Those people all have to go somewhere. So this is, to ask the governor to act within the purview of the law, to state a public health crisis and find a way to keep this Neshoba Valley Medical Center open some way until they can find a sustainable solution for that hospital and serve the people that have been going there. That's what this letter is doing, and we're joining many other communities that are doing the same thing. In the past week, the towns of Littleton, Townsend, Ayer,
Harvard.
Shirley, Harvard.
yeah, most of our surrounding
Lunenburg,
communities,
Lancaster.
if they haven't already done something like this, they're in the process of doing this and sending something to the governor and asking them to take this up. That's what this letter is about.
Okay.
So when Mike called me and asked how I felt about it, and so Neshoba is actually where I always took my kids because we could get in quickly, we weren't waiting, et cetera, et cetera. I look at it as in a bunch of ways, and Priya, you helped me out. There was Leominster, Lowell, Emerson, and Neshoba. That's kind of the four, right?
Yeah.
So if you take out Neshoba, first of all, that's a ton of jobs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our economy. Secondly, it's a resource for us in an emergency. Thirdly, it creates a little bit of a healthcare desert
Yes.
for our neighbors who provide us with mutual aid. So Harvard, Air, and Shirley provide us with mutual aid, and we've depended on them for years, and we give it back. It's mutual aid. So I'm kind of looking at that whole big picture, and Air's got nursing and assisted living facilities. Where are those people going to go if something awful happens?
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Out there, it's really a dire situation to the west of us. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
When you get past 195, you go into Harvard, Ayer, Shirley, Lunenburg, any of those centers that have gone to Emerson, that have gone to Neshoba, it's a huge void. It really is. One of the things that Mike touched on, and I can tell you, if Emerson ever goes on divert, that's where the ambulance crew goes. If they go on divert for whatever reason, a hazardous waste or a hazardous material spill, and they have to go on divert or overloaded in the wintertime because of sicknesses, and the Emerson just goes on divert, you go to Neshoba. That's where you
Right.
go. And now you can't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the governor, or I don't know where Jamie is with this and Dan Cena, if they are all involved. I don't know if the governor can make, maybe Emerson can absorb, or Lee
really.
can absorb. I don't know. That's up to the governor. That they can probably make.
Right, no,
and if they strike some deals instead of completely closing. I don't know. I'm not
I went through something similar in my last community, and during June of 2020, a flood in the area where I was working caused the shutdown of Norwood Hospital.
Yeah.
That was a community that served 20 to 25, a hospital that served 20 to 25 communities. So that was a flood that happened due to a very short-term 6-inch rainfall, and it totally shut down the hospital. That hospital is still not back online. So the cost to all of the communities that used that hospital and now are diverting people to all different directions has been enormous over the last 4 years. Not to mention the decrease in quality of healthcare, the increase to run times, the increased wear and tear on ambulances. It was devastating, absolutely devastating. And they're reconstructing that hospital now. But I wouldn't want to see this community and the surrounding area go through what we went through 4 years ago there. And so I think this is important.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a great point. I mean, people shouldn't be thinking, hey, we have Emerson right next door, so we are okay. Not necessarily, because all those people are coming to Emerson now.
Right.
So your wait time is, if it was already bad, it's going to get worse. It's just not going to be a nice situation.
So this letter has been drafted, is ready to go?
Yep.
It is.
We just have to sign it.
So
You want to make the motion?
well, actually, I'd like to see exactly what we're asking, because I didn't get a chance to look at
And the
that.
only thing is.
The letter's right
Yeah,
here.
does anybody else want to?
And the only thing is, and I don't want to rain on this parade.
so they can read it.
I'm willing to sign this, I want to sign it. And I hope the governor can act on this. My only concern is that this is a federal bankruptcy court, and I don't know how much authority the governor of Massachusetts can put over a federal bankruptcy court.
So this is really just asking her to declare, to have the commissioner of the Department of Public Health of Massachusetts declare a state of emergency. And that is something that can be done within the law of the
Oh,
governor.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all that's
It's in
being
the bottom
asked.
paragraph, yeah.
Okay.
What? Oh, we've got a typo. We
Hospital.
love Dave. See if hospital is spelled right in that one.
No, it's the same. I just took a look
Oh.
at it.
You wanna- Okay.
Get that changed
How quickly
quickly.
can you change it and print it?
So then, Kristen, if you want, I'll move to approve the public health emergency letter as amended regarding the closure of the Neshoba Valley Medical Center, medical center letter.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right, so all you've got to do is fix the spelling of hospital in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th line. Closure of this hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, I can pull it up.
So I was saying, if you could do that, we'd still have to do the minutes and we could sign before we leave.
Sure.
Any other, you sure?
Okay.
All right, well, with the rest of us do
I get it, I
minutes,
get it.
Dave is going to look
Yeah,
for any
yeah.
further misspellings. Hospital should have come up in spell check. Bizarre. That's not a word, is it? All right. Ed, did everyone have a chance to take a look at the minutes?
Yep.
Any corrections, amendments, changes? That was it? Good. Thank you, Dave. All right.
I have none.
You have none?
I have no corrections, changes.
To the
went
minutes.
through it with time.
All right. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the August 5th, 2024 regular session minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Done. All right, I move to adjourn.
Wait, hold on,
Oh.
hold on. Hi,
Oh, Adam, what?
I want to first commend you on the difficult deliberations you had this evening, but I want to make a comment, which was at last week's meeting, you voted on a meeting schedule, and this meeting wasn't on that schedule. And I think it's really unfortunate that you had some pretty substantial stuff to discuss tonight, and it was a fairly last-minute meeting. And I think in the sake of, public openness, these types of discussions should have there should have been more warning. There should have been more time. I think it's unfortunate that we had this meeting, difficult topics. We spent a lot of people's time and energy to be here, and it wasn't on your agenda. And I know it's tough. I sit in the same seats you guys sit in. I know it's hard. These things come up to you all the time. But I think that, one of the things that we should all try as public officials to do is to set an agenda, set meetings, and do our best to keep those so that the public knows well in advance when topics are coming up to be discussed.
No, and you're right with everything, Adam. It's difficult if something hot comes up, we try fitting it in, but your overall comment about letting the public know when we're going to talk about something is priority to us.
Yeah.
It really is.
I wouldn't have wanted to jam this into another meeting, seeing that it's almost 10
Yeah, I
o'clock.
know.
We're not at that, so
Well, yeah.
I feel the challenge.
Yeah, Adam, I take responsibility for scheduling this this meeting after the last meeting, and the reason was because the fire station building committee needs to meet with a full committee,
Yeah.
and the person who stepped down didn't step down until after the meeting last week, so we couldn't publicize that we haven't, because we didn't know we were having this meeting. So this was on me, though.
Yeah, and interestingly, I don't think that one took as much time as some of the other agenda items this evening, which is, it gets away from you, I get it, like, it's tough.
It does.
But
Well,
yeah.
I think-
Because I asked, specifically asked for the meeting, well, can we do one next week? Because we need to accept the resignation and to find the new person and get it done without having to go into September. So,
I totally get it.
Yeah. And the length of the meeting is on me, letting everyone talk multiple times, because I just kind of felt like that needed to get out. So, yeah, we were damned if we did, damned if we didn't. If we had truncated the conversation, we would have been damned. And we're up till 10 o'clock, so
Well,
we're
I'm well
damn
aware.
tomorrow.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for that.
All right,
Thank you for
thanks,
that.
Adam. Good night.
Okay.
All
I
right,
guess,
now-
I guess you can pay me back at your next meeting.
Is it?
90 minutes, that's what we're gonna do from now on, 90 minutes.
Did we,
So I move to adjourn this select board meeting at 9:59.
Oh, Lordy, thank you. As a
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Done.
Done.